everybody to MogTalk. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, it's a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. And today we have three amazing guests on to discuss a topic that I have been very involved with I guess, recently, which is Melee in Final Fantasy XIV. Now, when I put that tweet out earlier, I knew some people would come back and say Jigglypuff, and they did. They said Jigglypuff is who they, they wanted to bring on someone who played Jigglypuff. And I was like, Final Fantasy XIV guy. Come on, give me a little bit, a little bit of credit here. But
oh, I get it.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Womp womp.
Yeah, it's
They
so
wanted
much.
you to bring Hungry Box on.
Yeah, it makes. Anyways, we're talking about Melee and Final Fantasy XIV, guys. It's the DPS role with technically the most jobs in it out of all the other roles there are, but it's something that is very unique in compared to all the other DPS, and you know why? Because of positionals, I guess. I don't fucking know.
Uptime, baby.
Uptime. But yeah, I wanted to talk about it, kind of the current state, the evolution of where we are now, or how we got to where we are now, and where we are going to in Dawntrail, because there are going to be changes that will affect Melee likely, which we'll go over in just a bit. But before we dive into it too much, let me have the guests introduce themselves. And I'm going to make Woops go first. Can you tell everybody who you are, dude?
Hello, I'm Woops, and I am the first of the three Dragoon mains that Frosty decided to invite to the Melee podcast.
Yeah.
Surprise! This is no longer a Melee podcast. This is a maiming podcast.
Oh, God. Are you guys
Welcome,
all like
everyone.
100% Dragoon?
Yes, man.
Not 100%.
Really?
What it sounds like, yeah. I mean, I just met
no.
Wesk, but
Okay.
no, we play everything though, and I've been playing since Keeper of the Lake, and I've been raiding since Eden's Gate. And I've been Melee the entire time.
All right. Jitter, you want to go?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jitter. I've been playing Melee for about 10 years now. I've done pretty much all of the battle content in the game on Melee. It's, yeah. I'm also the second naming player in this call.
Okay.
Surprise.
Oh, God. All right, Wex.
Well, I feel like I have to one up because we're talking maiming only. Hello, I'm Wesk. I have a focus on making guides for newer players. I've been a Dragoon main for 9 years. In Heaven's Word, I was a ninja secondary. In Stormblood, I did a lot of samurai, but I wouldn't say secondary. And then Endwalker, I'm a Reaper secondary.
Okay. I'm really curious. I'm going to ask this off the top of the show here. It's just, why Dragoon? Why do you guys all tend to go towards Dragoon?
Did you see the Heavensward trailer, bro?
Dude, that aesthetic? Come
That's
on, man.
literally it, man.
Okay.
First time I saw the Draken male, I was sold. It was over.
The thing that got me into playing this game was literally seeing the Dragoon armor in 14, and I was like, well,
okay.
I gotta play that.
Okay.
Literally in the character creator, pick job armor. Oh my god, that looks cool.
Snapping the gauntlet on his hand and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
I couldn't
most
be the exact
sexual,
opposite.
safe for work video ever made.
Oh, yeah. What'd you say, Wex?
I'm the exact opposite. I joined the game expecting to heal. And then, like, several hours later, I was a Lancer and never looked back.
Okay, fair. I mean, I think most people who come into, the Final Fantasy XIV video game and the Final Fantasy XIV genre, I guess, of video game. Genre is like a collection of video games. They see Dragoon. That's a classic, right? You think that job is amazing because they jump in the air and stab things, and it fulfills a lot of players' fantasy when they're playing an MMO that is titled after Final Fantasy. So I think it makes sense. Most people who come in as a DPS usually tend to go towards Dragoon. I didn't think most people stayed on it. Maybe I'm wrong. It seems like that's the case. But I would say Dragoon is literally not my favorite melee out of all of them. I mean, it's okay. It's middling. It's in the middle.
Honestly, not an opinion I've seen a bunch of, so it's not like you're alone in that.
Okay. Okay. I think it's cool. I think, you know, the visuals are pretty cool. We're getting a whole new Dragoon, which I'm hoping all you guys are excited for, right? And Dawntrail, are you guys in despair?
I'm excited.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
This
I'm
is a whole
mostly
topic we'll get
excited.
into, so I don't know if we should start with this one or
Okay,
what.
Yeah.
fair.
I mean, we could
You know
start-
what? We can start wherever. It doesn't fucking matter. But in the end, I think it's interesting that Dragoon does still become like the face of a lot of melee in the game. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's make a let me go look at this document I made real quick. All right. How do you feel? Let's do this. Very general question about all DPS. How do you guys feel about the general state of melee as a role within the game? Is it good? Is it bad? I mean,
I think it's just okay, like everything else.
just
And that's
okay.
that's the intended outcome from Square.
It's just okay, acceptable.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, like, just like every role, it has things that are good, things that are bad. It's not like amazing to play. I think if you think it's amazing or bad, as of right now, it's probably a pretty subjective opinion based on things that like aren't incredibly game changing, more so just like comfort.
Hmm.
So
Okay. I mean,
I
guess
definitely think there's been a big change in how the role is looked at. I guess with how big hitboxes have become,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
if
definitely.
if anything, but like it's still the same job, just almost a little easier, if anything. And
I
but,
mean-
you know, at the same time, so is everything. So
is the hitbox discussion is actually fairly interesting to talk about, and we can hit this tangent already if we want to, because making smaller hitboxes, it's going to make things harder in general, right? I guess.
I mean,
Does it make
if
it
you wanna
easier? I don't know.
harder, but like not really. Like harder for the wrong reason, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Ooh.
I mean, bringing back the smaller hitboxes does bring back a form of skill expression for the melee role that kind of feels like it's been lacking in Endwalker, which is maintaining uptime without dying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, the if you missed positional, it was horrible. It was really bad.
Oh yeah. Ooh,
They've
yeah.
changed that.
Yep.
It seemed like they were going in that direction of making it not so punishing and to be, I guess, a skill expression in a way that if you miss it, it's okay. But if you don't miss it, you're going to look really cool, all right? Your damage is going to be really high. Although we would never know how much our damage is, of course. But
Of course.
yeah,
I have no idea to this day.
yeah, I look at the enmity list, all right? If you try to be on the top of the enmity list.
I actually do, though.
I mean, I do too. But in general, yeah. I think that the hitbox, when it's big, you know, it's great in the sense of you can see exactly where you need to stand. You're only making tiny movements, right? You're hitting like that corner, then you have to go with the group every once in a while, but you're making tiny movements right at that little, I don't know what to call it, where the it fades, you know, where the back is and the side is, whatever. Flank and rear.
Yeah.
And if they make it smaller, it's a little bit harder to be exact with that, right? And I'm guessing the boss is going to be a little bit more finicky with the tank, right? Smaller steps will make it move, change that opening a little bit more for you. But you also don't have to move halfway across the arena to get a flanking positional, right? When you're moving away from the group. So,
Yeah. I think it depends on the fight itself whether hitbox size really matters. Cuz from what I've seen at least, a lot of people seem to think Hephaestos P8 is really good.
mhm.
But I feel like if he had smaller hitboxes, he wouldn't be as generally well liked as he is. I think the bigger hitboxes is part of why people tend to like that fight.
Okay. Whoops, Jitter, anything on that?
Yeah, that kind of goes hand in hand with something I was gonna say. I feel like the game's been moving in a direction as to where jobs become simpler, hitboxes become larger, so that there's room for more interesting mechanics.
Hmm.
Interesting meaning either like uses more arena space or requires more time to think and like look at and solve
Yeah.
or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and actually,
I
go
like
ahead, I'm sorry.
that because um I've been playing since Heaven's Ward, almost a Realm Reborn, and I don't think people remember clearly how difficult the jobs used to be.
I remember.
I
I think
remember.
Yeah.
I think top would have taken 3 times as long, maybe longer, if we're still playing Heaven's Ward jobs at this point. So
Hmm. You know, and that does open up the whole debate about how to make combat in this game more interesting, going on the job side versus like the actual battle design side of it, right? And that's a huge fucking conversation.
Oh, yeah.
It's giant.
yeah.
But
but
before,
it's
go ahead.
especially like on the spot with Melee though.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Melee's the only one that has like an extra kind of mechanic, I guess, right? With the fights. I mean, you could call casting a mechanic. You're only talking about Black Mage, though. So,
Yeah.
Bring back TP.
TP.
Hey, you know, Samurai has cast bars. Come on.
They do, and that's, you know, worth discussing too. As every once in a while, you got to do your little cast. Which is something you have to plan out, and it is a skill expression too. Real quick though, Jitter, you were saying something earlier. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like fights like P8, Phase 2, where you're moving about the arena engaging with mechanics while the boss has a large hitbox that covers half of it. That's fun. Like when you're actually utilizing the arena and you have things that you need to move around for, it's good design. But then you get fights like P6 where you do that movement in like 3 mechanics, and then the rest of the time you're hitting a striking dummy and you never have to like concern yourself with it.
Yeah.
It all comes down to that fight design that makes it interesting or kind of boring.
I don't know. When I was doing Melee on P12S, I felt kind of cheated when I went from P1 to P2 as a Melee, because P2 is like brain dead in comparison to P1 with your movement and everything else, right?
Definitely.
It's like it's the last of the hardest savage fight they have in the game, and they made the last half easy for Melee in comparison to what they did, because P1's a pain. One of the biggest pain in the asses, I think, as a Melee with keeping up positionals. I mean, it's still a big hitbox, but when you're doing stuff like Super Chain 1, everyone fucking struggles on Super Chain 1. But
doing Super Chain 1 and 2 on Samurai with all your cast bars and slide casting is an eye-opening experience if you've never done it. But it feels so good to do right.
Yeah.
I would say Dragoon has that part free, just because Dragon Sight.
Well, oh yeah, Dragon Sight does line up perfectly with it, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yep.
Yes, it does.
And then they could tell Ninja, hey, stand still for a second, right?
Oh, Tenchi-Jin. Oh my goodness gracious, and that
Funny
mechanic is
button.
kind of annoying.
Oh my god, yeah, it's rough. But I do think like it is going to be interesting to see what they do with the hitbox. I mean, I would like smaller. I feel like when and I only have this perspective currently tanking, but tanking Uwu, you know, like Ruta, and that level of hitbox, right?
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that hitbox as a Melee?
I like it.
Not like it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's good.
I also feel like they don't have to pick one or the other. There's good reasons to have both, and I feel like people almost like seem to like, what's the opposite of rose tinted glasses? Like, evil tinted glasses. Like
Evil.
they think that there's a lot more larger hitbox fights in this game, probably because they spend a lot more time on the larger hitbox fights. Is my take.
Yeah.
But there are still some small hitbox fights, and like top has both. actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they did both, like tastefully, I guess would be the word, then that'd be the best of both worlds, literally.
Like I went off it really depends on the mechanics and the
Yeah.
fight design itself. If
Exactly.
I stand by it, if Hephaestus had a small hitbox, it would be a much worse fight.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, they do have to, how they're doing fight design too. I mean, it is a major factor in just how you solve mechanics. You can't have people too close to each other, or they need to be a certain distance or whatever, so they design with that in mind too. If they design with a smaller hitbox, how do they do that with the spreads and everything without making it as punishing for being too close to someone? So I don't know. Like, one of the worst spots, I don't know, maybe you guys like it, but with P10S in the turrets, you have to kind of figure that out, how you're going to keep up time while being knocked back and everything, right? Did you guys find that actually interesting or annoying?
Which part?
P10. P10S, where they knock you back with the turrets. And you can't hit the boss.
That.
Yeah?
Yeah. I like
that.
Like, actually, for every melee I've played, because there's almost always a gap closer there that you can keep up time with.
Okay.
Stuff like that's fun.
I mean, and that's dealing with a giant hitbox.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they can still make, again, big hitboxes enjoyable. They just have to do it in a way that the fight, or design the fight in a way to make it interesting. But
and you can do that with like different shapes of the arena and stuff, like they literally did for that fight.
Yep.
Very unique.
It's the biggest reason I think they increased the healing AoEs. Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what they do. Again, they made a lot of promises about how the fights are going to be different and more interesting going into 7.0, but we won't really know what that looks like. I mean, for me, I'm happy with the A2 mechanic where you have to throw someone in a robot and drag bombs around.
Oh, please don't bring back Gobwalker.
I love it.
Please don't.
I love it.
I hated being on Gobwalker duty.
I'm usually on Square's side for almost everything, including the summoner rework, by the way.
Okay.
A2 was atrocious and needs to be removed from this game.
Are you gonna,
I'm glad we're on the same page.
You gonna opt for roll actions coming back as well? Let's really open a can of worms.
Oh, jeez, man. I don't know. I felt like it was good. You always just put the guy who didn't care about their DPS in there, right?
That's the problem, Frosty. There's never the guy that doesn't care about their DPS.
Me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Grays get clears. I will put out as much DPS as I need to. If I need to get a gold parse to clear, I'll do it.
Right.
But if a Gray's gonna get me a clear, I don't care. I'm way beyond parsing at this point. I just want my clear.
Based.
I mean, that's, to me, and that's only my perspective in particular. I know everybody enjoys the game differently. I don't care. Like, my enjoyment comes from the duty completion, right? Every single time. And so I put myself in situations that it's not just easy. Everyone knocks it out really quick and done. That's why Party Finder is so much fun, right? Because when you get that clear, because when you get the clear, it feels good because it feels like it's a challenge that was overcome. When you start like overanalyzing that stuff, it can be fun just to see how far you can push yourself, but it's not as enjoyable to me because it's so precise, and if you feel like in complete despair if you mess up one GCD and you're like, all right, well, back to the grind again, right?
Back
and
to the old grind.
I just don't care for it.
And I can see that there's healthy competition in parsing. It's the people who take it too far that it gets a bit There's plenty of fun, plenty of good stuff that can come out of people competing against each other for the higher parse. Just some people take it way too seriously.
So, and then, the only reason I have any funny numbers anywhere is because someone in my party put it up there, dude.
Yeah.
I don't even
I
care.
don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
The abacus, man, they're counting these numbers. I don't know.
That's like
worst kept
automatic
secret.
Catboy tracker or something. I don't know.
Well, they get a ninth man who just looks completely at the battle log the entire time.
Oh.
And
Has
then
the
they add this
spreadsheet running.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly how they handle it. Anyways, designing, Melee, I don't think needs to be completely around after the clear, right? It's the process of getting there. And I think there are things that did make Melee interesting that I am kind of sad is gone. I don't know. I like TP, like you guys were talking about. TP could be a fun mechanic just because it's a resource that you have to balance in some way. Does everyone here miss TP?
I don't.
I
No.
don't. Not even a
I
little
was-
bit.
Jesus Christ.
I was making a joke.
Shit.
Like, I wouldn't
Look.
I wouldn't say no to bringing it
You
back.
added yourself,
but
Rosie.
Shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to bringing it back, but I didn't think it was this TP. TP wasn't really something you managed per se. The management was usually too simple. And the most you did was dungeons of, if you got a bad group, you actually had to care about your TP. In a good group, your TP never mattered. You just spammed your AoE and you were fine.
I mean,
God, I feel like I have a completely different opinion than that.
I'm excluding stuff like A9S. A9S is like the exception, not the rule.
yeah.
I mean, I hated, like, if you hit sprint, you lost all of your TP.
Well, that was
or
the
your-
That's
worst
true.
part.
That's
No,
true.
that needs to
And,
stay
and while
gone.
playing around Enhanced Arrow was kind of fun, you're playing Monk and you're watching your TP bar hit 0, like, very, very fast, was just... I don't think it was good design.
That's also fair.
I mean, it was fun for, like, giving another resource to manage in some way, and Astros had their little thing with that, right? Although it was just a balance card in the end, but still, all right, they could do something, and then you had ninjas that could do something, right? Well, it was Goad, is that right?
And it was
Oh
roll
god,
action.
me! I swear, me and Whoops have had this conversation about
Yes,
we
having to literally beg your co-melee to get it sucks.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a group problem, you know?
It was kind of present in every bit of content. We all were pretty bad at the game back when that button existed.
Okay. So no to extra resource management with TP.
Yes.
Okay.
And that kind of leads me into something else I want to talk about, which is it almost has to do with Reaper too, because people are like, Reaper's so easy, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The bottom line is we're gonna hit level 100 in a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they rework jobs to be more simplified, there's gonna be no room for jobs to expand and evolve unless they make the jobs like Reaper and Summoner.
Hmm.
And
Hard
that
agree.
isn't an opinion even. That's literally just a fact. Like
True.
they like look at Red Mage and Gunbreaker. Everybody's already joking about it that they're just gonna get another continuation button because they have no room to grow their kits anymore. There's too many buttons.
Triple down.
We
Yeah.
have to simplify the jobs if we want this game to continue for another 10 years in a good way.
You know, I'd almost argue with some level of disagreeing with that, right? It mostly in the sense that, like, you can have minimal buttons with still having some level of complexity to it. And I would put that in line with almost Monk, but then again, that's just my personal opinion with it. I think Monk's one of the hardest jobs to play in the fucking game. But that's because I don't play it 24/7, so I don't know.
Nah, I think even monk mains think that being a monk is insane. If you're a monk, you're just plain insane.
I mean, whoops, Jitter.
I like Monk, but
I
I,
like
only
Monk.
like Monk after I've had like 3 5-hour energies and yeah.
I-
Some
I
some
like-
performance enhancing materials perhaps.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I like Monk. It's starting out on Monk is really difficult because it's a lot to grasp, and mastering the job is really difficult because it's a
Mhm.
lot to grasp. And honestly, throughout the history of the game, it might be the most cursed melee job in the entire game.
Yeah, that
Shout
No,
out.
that was
shout outs to frame locking to gain DPS. Don't ever bring that back.
Please don't.
Oh God.
Like, I wouldn't say I dislike Monk. I actually like it a lot more after the rework. But it's just more that I haven't known any Monk mains who don't think this job is pure insanity even without the frame locking stuff. It's like they've all been like, okay, yeah, this is Stormblood Machinist level kind of stuff.
I mean, like the main issue with Monk is that for like 3 expansions, it's been a brand new job. You know, it's
True.
It's hard to get a grasp on the job and keep comfortable with it and not feel like you're insane when you're playing a new job.
I do think
every
they
2
found
years.
a very nice home in the realm of naughties, though.
Yeah, Beast Chakra and
shit's
stuff.
fun.
I had to grow into the design because I really liked Shadowbringer's Monk, but now that I've had the 2 years to sit around and play it, I definitely think this design is something they should stick with, and I really hope they do, because if it gets reworked again, I'm probably never going to play it again.
I mean, you're going to likely get new animations, as we saw in the benchmark, right? So you get some upgrades maybe, but the thing with so Monk, if you fuck it up, you can get back on your feet pretty quick, right?
Yes.
And I feel like that as just a job in general, and this is, going outside of Melee, even going into casters, Black Mage is really well done. I think it's difficult in a way, right? But you could still play it and make decisions, and it feels a little bit more exciting to play. When you're playing, like, I don't know, Reaper, and I'm not going to list out all the fucking Melee jobs, because I'll list out all of them besides Monk. It feels a little bit more, I don't know, static with everything you're doing. You're not making decisions while you're playing, right? I guess if you get Monk down really, really good, you're not really making decisions either, but it kind of feels like you are. Because every single 1, 2, 3, you have to see, is this this button or this button, right? It doesn't tell you exactly what the right answer is, but you have to check all your fucking cooldowns. You have to check your status on your light and your dark, right? And I feel like the other melees don't have anything even close to similar to that, right?
No, but that also comes from like the uniqueness of Monk, right? It's not like combos, it's stances, which
it's
then
kind of like
leads
a
to,
flow state. Like that's kind of just the job.
Yeah, it has a lot of agency in the way you like do your rotation, because you have so many branching trees that you can go off of one button.
I don't know. Maybe I'm insane for thinking this, but I would prefer simple jobs and complex encounters than the vice versa.
Yeah,
Well,
I could agree with that.
Not even like when I say simple, people are gonna be like, no, you just want to press 1, 2, 3. Not like that, but just like
No.
a static, like generally difficult to perform rotation at first, but once you get it down, it's you're just doing it.
So
Yeah.
where would you be content with the current jobs right now that we have? Where do you think jobs should be? Do you think it's Reaper is where jobs should be?
I mean, it's hard to say because all the jobs are different and do different things. I think Reaper is decent and has like a pretty good space for it to grow in the next 10 years, but I don't think I don't think there's a golden child of job design right now if you're comparing all of them.
I do.
What is it?
It's Monk.
Monk?
I hate it, but it's so just, I think friendly to new players. Well, not friendly to new players in a way, but friendly enough to new players, right?
At the lowest level, Monk is just kind of like really simple, good, fun. So yeah, I can kind of agree with that.
I think it really depends on what you define as the lowest level, just because depending on who you ask, there are people who would genuinely say that it's just like hitting your GCDs and hitting your cooldowns whenever counts as the lowest level, and any job can fit that lowest level and just be, yeah, no, I'm hitting buttons and enjoying myself. So it's like there has to be a base definition for that.
This actually, I didn't think about this, but you do make a lot of new player job guides, right, Wesk?
Yes.
Which one would you say is the friendliest to new players to the game?
Of the melees,
Yeah.
I would, I mean, given how far we've gotten with the game and skills being spread out from 50 levels to soon to be 100 levels, in A Realm Reborn, it would probably be Dragoon, just because you have your full base toolkit, but at the same time, you grow as you continue, but it's not as complex as, say, having to deal with the Mudra. Monk quickly gets into its naughty stuff.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, that makes. I mean, it's one of the only ones you start out with, right? I mean, that Ninja, and Monk are the three that you could start as a new player. And I would probably recommend Dragoon to all new players. So I'm with you there because Ninja's stupid. I'm just gonna say this about every fucking job. They're stupid, dude.
Everyone thinks some stuff is stupid, but it's. Go ahead.
You don't like Mudras?
Dude,
Come
I hate them
on.
so much.
I like them, but they're difficult.
It always depends on the number that you have to hit and the one you end on. That's
I know, but I still mess it up more than I should. And it feels so bad.
I'm not gonna say it, but I know people are thinking it when they hear you say that.
Get good, yeah.
Get good.
No, 100%.
I mean, you'll still watch people like hit a rabbit in World Prog. Like it happens.
Yeah. But
it's just the natural state of the job.
It feels really bad, I think, to mess up a Mudra, does it not?
It does.
Feels
That's why it encourages you not to.
Because you miss that, then a lot of your shit gets just all fucked up. Like with your bursts and everything else.
Were you just saying that you wanted jobs to have like some kind of complexity? Like
yeah, and I want to complain about it. I want.
Yeah.
You know, I want to complain.
So which is it?
So I mean, here's the thing. Here's my general take on job complexity and fight design. I both need attention, right? No matter what, both need attention.
Yeah.
But I don't think oversimplifying jobs and making really difficult encounters would be the right answer, because the more difficult jobs in general, that goes everywhere. Dungeons, main story quest, everywhere. You feel the effect of the job being more difficult in the design because you carry that shit with you everywhere you go. When if it's the battle design, only when you get into the higher level difficult content, right? You don't feel the shit. You'll never feel it in dungeons. You'll only feel it in Savage, Extreme, and Ultimate, and Criterion. Right? I guess that's 4 places, but so a lot of the stuff that they design there, I don't feel like if we focus purely on that, it's going to make the game as interesting. I do feel like there is a decent amount that we need to put into the jobs to make them feel interesting outside of the hardest content in the game. But I don't
Here's
know.
a question then.
Yeah.
Since they're the two most, I don't know, probably, I want to say hated, but like people think they're easiest, Reaper and Summoner. What are your opinion on this?
So, Summoner is a great job in the fact that it feels really good to play. Reaper feels really good to play, right? So the feel of those jobs is good. But I do feel like they become boring. They don't have a lot of shelf life for people who want to actually advance their play in the game because they have to go play another job. And eventually, most people, especially casters, they end up on Black Mage. That's just what it is. Anyone who wants to play a caster in this game, I think they end up on Black Mage in general. Until they do Prog, then they have to do Red Mage or Summoner, right? But I think that when it comes to melee in particular, you're looking all at just like the stats and the numbers and everything for that. But Reaper is really fun to play in general. Just any job that you get fucking teleports to. It's fun to play, dude.
Elusive Jump is a teleport.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Think about it, yeah.
I mean, Dragoons, yeah, they have those. The thing that's supposed, in my mind, is supposed to make Dragoon difficult is the animation locks, right? The animation locks, keeping up with the fact that when you press this, it's not going to behave like a normal GCD. You're going to be maybe moved or maybe not moved, right? There's a little bit more OGCD stuff that you got to figure out while playing the job that makes it more difficult. Am I wrong? That's what I thought.
Personally, I've never thought the animations locks were that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the bigger deal of the jumps is the fact that it's going to bring you to a spot closer to the enemy.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's not going to be max melee, which it should be, in my opinion.
But did it look like you're jumping on the edge of the boss constantly, like trying to hit their toe or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
mean, with how mechanics and stuff work, how arenas look, and how they're shaped, yeah, that's how it should be.
I mean, in the current content, yeah, that animation lock really doesn't play a huge factor. Now, when you start going back to like some of the older Unreals, prime example right now is Thornton. There's a jump that if you hit, you will die. 100% guaranteed. It's like a double weave that you do, and if you hit that jump, you are dead.
I don't
And
remember.
there is no
this.
counterplay. It's when you bait all the circles at the very first phase. If you double weave like Dragonfire Dive and Spine Shatter, you're dead.
Dedge.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. What would you guys? You know what? While we're on Dragoon, we're here now. What do you guys want to change about Dragoon? What are they doing? Are they just turning into Reaper 2.0, or what? How are they going to change it up?
I have my wish list. Ready?
Okay, let's go.
I'm ready.
Make jumps max melee instead.
Okay.
Get rid of life surge. Add a real personal defensive. Like bring back a version of Keen Flurry that works like Arcane Crest instead. Give us a unique weapon skill combo inside of life instead of just your normal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably this one's a maybe. I'm not even entirely sold on this one yet, but combine 2 of the buffs that it has right now into 1, so you only have 2 buffs. And then also get rid of Spine Shatter Dive, and hear me out first. Elusive Jump gets a new follow-up attack, kind of like Enhanced Harp, that becomes Spine Shatter Dive. So when you Elusive Jump becomes a GCD, and then you press Spine Shatter Dive, which transforms the Elusive Jump button, and you gap close back to the boss.
So jump back and jump forward?
Yeah.
You miss an auto.
No, you don't.
No?
If you're fast enough.
Okay. All right. I mean, that would be fun in a way. I mean, if you were jumping around the map more, and then you have to make sure that your back is facing the right way. All right, you're not going to jump off the side to do an attack. But that would limit where you could actually use it too, I guess. Right? There's certain like parts of fights where if you use it, you'll die.
Also, give Dragoon either the ability to, or it's just a straight up thing it can do whenever you're holding a lance to have longer melee range.
Oh yeah, please. That would fit into the fantasy so well.
Okay.
Or outside of Dragoon, we could get rid of positionals if we wanted to. I'm not entirely sold on the idea yet either. But if they're going in that direction, if they're going to get rid of positionals, keep True North, but make it add 3 yalms of melee range for 10 seconds.
Ooh, I like that.
That's an idea.
Okay. Through reach.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But like also, I have a fucking lance. Let me have like an extra like yalm of range.
I mean,
Why
doesn't
not?
that, like-
It's like the weapon genuinely regarded as like the one with the most range in a melee fight. Like,
Yeah.
Let me take advantage of it.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense. I can't see any major problems with that. Yeah, even if you're trying to get to max melee, it doesn't really matter. You just get to Dragoon's max melee. I guess it's fine. It's not going to throw anything off, right? Because I mean, the easy way for me to figure out max melee is when all the fucking X's show up on my abilities, and I just step back in. And so like I think that like I can't see it being too goofy with anything. I can't devil's advocate that. Sorry, dude. I think those ideas are fine.
Yeah, my wish list is very close to the same. You know, I want a personal defensive button because right now Dragoon is the only one that doesn't have one, and sometimes it's a liability, but most fights don't have so much damage that comes into factor, but I would like Life Surge to go away. I think that button is just bloat at this point. I want Dragonfire Dive to either be reworked or changed or removed, because as a level 50 capstone ability, 2-minute cooldown, like 300 potency is so underwhelming at this point in the game that it's like, why?
Okay. Wex, any additional thoughts on it?
I mean, I disagree on a couple of points just because of how I feel Dragoon as a whole has been designed over the years, but like I don't really have any specific wish list items just because I don't know how far they're going to go with a rework. Is it going to be a full rework? Is it going to be something more like what Samurai had mid Endwalker, with it just being a couple changes here or there? Are they just going to put jumps on the GCD and that's it? So it's like I'm not sure how far they're intending to go. And also I put my faith into the Dragoon creation team just because there is no version of Dragoon I dislike. I've loved Dragoon every iteration, and Endwalker Dragoon is currently my favorite iteration.
Okay. And we're also, by the way, for everybody who's curious, we're talking about this like days before we find out some decent details on the changes they're going to be making to jobs. But so if someone's watching this after a live letter comes out, they're going to be like, "What the fuck are you?"
How do they not know? Are they stupid?
Are they dumb?
Time doesn't exist.
Yeah. But I do. Did a lot of people complain about Dragoon and I missed it?
I never saw it.
No, I think it's literally just like the fact of the matter of that it's old.
Okay.
It's very old, and parts of its kits are dated and like objectively bad. Like as a whole, the job is great, but there are parts of it that you look at and you're like, why? Like Life Surge. Why is our personal defensive like mandatory for our rotation? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I do think Arcane Crest is amazing that you mentioned it earlier.
God, it's so
like
good.
Insanely
good.
powerful. And I don't know how, like, I feel like if I don't see that pop up every 30 seconds as a healer, I get really angry.
It's even been nerfed and it's still overpowered.
It is kind of disgusting.
It is so strong. And I don't know why they thought, it made sense even thematically for a Reaper. But I'm all for it, I mean, I guess Samurai has something like that, but it's all personal damage too, right? With Samurai.
Oh yeah, Third Eye gives you gauge if you take damage during its duration, which then factors into your rotation.
Which is why it's so funny if you guys have done a lot of, probably not, maybe not, I don't know, Party Finder for P12S, the lazy lasers strat, like, there's always this argument about doing it the JP style, where one melee takes a hit, and I can guarantee you it's because of Samurais. No one else gives a shit. Tanks maybe care a little bit, but it's fine.
It's 10 gauge. I need that.
That's true. It's true. It's 10 gauge. But
I was doing Dragon Song the other day, and we had a Samurai, and they just kept walking into the auto attacks of the cleaving auto attacks. Just gotta get that third eye. Gotta get that extra third eye.
Yep.
Oh man.
It's okay. The healers aren't doing
don't
shit
get that
during most of
extreme.
that, anyways. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, stack to spin on you. It'll be all right. But I do think it is interesting that they do make some jobs have these, hey, get hit for the benefit stuff. Which is why, quick tangent on Dark Knight, I hate the Blackest Night so much. It's to literally do as much damage as you would normally do if you don't press it. You're just kind of helping somebody out with reducing damage, right? It doesn't feel like you get a lot of benefit out of it. But it is interesting that it's in the game, and only people who are actually caring about the healers are using it.
On that topic, speaking of TBN, I actually, and like helping your healers, I actually wish Melee had responsibility towards that. Because like right now, all you do is mechanics, see and rage, do damage. Like that's your entire role, and occasionally throw feint in there. So like the issue with feint right now is 95% of the damage you're going to encounter in the game is magical, which means feint only has a 5% effect, which it's nice to have, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. So like what I'm hoping to see in Dawntrail, and I know we won't get it, but Melee's getting like essentially what is Palisade, something I can throw on a party member and make them take reduced damage and actually contribute to things, and then have it somehow play into my kit where like I gain some gauge, or you know, it gives me an eye or something that like makes it worth doing. Because
Mhm.
if you don't have that, most players aren't going to use it anyway. So
You mean as just like a roll action, melee should be getting something across the board?
well, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
like back in the day, Mantra was a roll action, and every melee could take it. Now, did they? No, not.
It doesn't even
often,
have to
but-
be a roll action specifically. It could just be, you know, like how all healers have like that one button where they can like pick someone and then give them like a special kind of heal, you know? Aquaveil,
XCOG.
XCOG, and then Exaltation. Like something like that. Like that can just be part of the melee identity, is having like a cooldown you can throw at somebody.
Hmm.
Or like a mitigation that you can throw at an enemy or something like that.
Okay. I mean, no, it's. But you also have to figure out where you're gonna have to put it on. How the game fucking is designed right now, right? Is every 2 minutes they give you a shitload of mechanics and you're supposed to fucking do your rotation at the exact same time, and that's the big difficulty gap between a lot of players, is if they can hit their rotation while avoiding all the mechanic vomit at the same time. If you add in mitigation to that, would the mitigation only apply during like those 2 minutes as well, and it's just another button to try to like get out there to keep somebody alive, or like I don't know.
I mean, it's contextual, right? Like tanks will put like nascent TBN on people if they're low going into a raid wide. It gives melees something to do in downtime. Yeah, I'm throwing mid out on somebody to gain gauge in downtime instead of just sitting around.
That is the one thing they could do across the board, is give more downtime actions to players in general, because I feel like most jobs don't feel too difficult outside of the 2 minute marks or the 1 minute marks, right?
No, you're just kind of hitting 1, 2, 3 for
a
minute straight.
I mean, and the only thing that makes melee more interesting is that you're also trying to be either on the side or at the back of the boss, right?
True. True.
So, I don't know. Positionals are such a funny thing. I think they should give range some kind of other version of positionals for their job too, right?
Ranged
Lord.
positionals?
Not
Ranged
positionals, but
oh.
mechanic similar to.
You want to give them like
Distance.
a range they have to be away from the boss.
Yeah, they have to be away.
You want to make them like Hunter from Classic WoW, where they can't do their abilities unless they're like 15 yards away. No.
Fuck it, 100%.
No.
Make Bard have to be way far away, you know?
Think about your healers
already do that.
and the fact that they can't hit them with their heals because they're out in Narnia to hit the boss.
That's
no.
fun! Make figure out who you... I already have to give special attention to the ranged, you know, when damage is outgoing, right? And that's when all the extra stuff that you could throw on people, the nascents and everything else, come into effect as the healers and the casters and stuff, right? But I don't know. I feel in comparison, when you're comparing melee and you're comparing them to like range right now, range feels like they just get it way too easy in comparison. And it comes down to the positionals. And how close you need to be. Like if you look at I'm gonna keep referencing fucking Savage. Alright, A9S, alright, and you're doing the Marshall whatever thing. Or you're doing different things in different fights. There's these explosions that happen, and you have to know as a melee, on this spot, I can have uptime and not get hit by these explosions. You have to be pretty exact with your where you stand, right?
Yeah.
No other job feels that way. No other job is pulling.
Tanks, kind of.
Tanks, yeah, but they don't also get the additional bullshit of positionals added into all that too. So
they get the bullshit of, oh, it's 2 minutes, time to press my entire defensive kit
while doing my my
buster.
I mean, technically tanks are like, they have their own complicated rotation. They're just throwing defensives in there as well, right? They could choose not to, and the healers just yell at them and they'll live most of the time anyways, but
yeah, don't do that. Hit your cooldowns, please.
Yeah. But I feel like it's just weird that we're in a situation to where melees are just again, if I'm wrong on it, call me out on it. It is one of the most difficult DPS roles in the game. And the other jobs are just kind of laid back in comparison. Like, I mean, I hate Bard, but that's because it's just the dot management and song management is annoying as hell to me. But those jobs have so much less to think about when you're playing them.
True.
I think the consequence of that is back in the day we used to have mechanics that were like designed for the ranged players to do.
Mm-hmm.
And these days it's all like super homogenized. Almost everybody has to do like the same thing or something very similar. So that aspect of the game has been lost, which has contributed to that role being perceived as boring.
Yeah. I mean, you have reses, I guess, right? They have some kind of support level machinist, not machinist. Machinists should have reses, but they don't.
They gotta have a defibrillator.
Yeah, they gotta
somewhere.
like you is a melee range. Like you have to be up close to him to res him or something, right?
That'd be pretty funny.
It'd be great. But the red mage summoner situation where they have to throw out a res every once in a while, although there's not a summoner in the world that saves their swift cast.
Especially not in Party Finder.
I know.
Oh boy. Slipstream, baby! Woo!
Don't die.
Yeah. My favorite thing is like I once had a comment when we were talking about casters, and they said, "Yeah, I don't know why people are complaining about res. I don't even res as a red mage. I just do my thing and trust healers are going to take care of their shit." I'm like, why? That is literally the reason the job is preferred over any other caster is for the reses, right? The machine gun reses.
I do need to make this distinction between ranged because we have Fizz ranged and we have casters, and
Mhm.
I think caster is a much more interesting role than playing Fizz range. And you have this this avenue of like supporting the party, and depending on which caster you're playing, you have a somewhat complex rotation or like these things that you need to manage. Now, if you're playing summoner, it's not really a whole lot to manage, and you're like essentially a Fizz range, but with summons. But you have Raze, you have that impact, you have Addle, you have all these things. As a Fizz ranged, you don't have cast bars. Now you do have Tactician, you have Curing Waltz and things like this. But like overall, like you're sitting there, you're hitting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and there's nothing that like prevents you from doing it.
No, I mean that's pretty much it. It feels it's so lax playing Fizz range compared to anything else. But
slap on that machinist jobstone and go to town.
Yeah. I mean, machinist is my favorite Fizz range. You just press buttons, right?
I love machinist.
I love it for that reason.
It's so straightforward. I loved Heaven's Ward machinist a lot. That was a lot of fun for me.
Aw, Sparrow, bring it back.
Yeah.
No.
It was funny at Heaven's Ward when they had Bard and Machinist, and they literally just said, "All right, we did this with Machinist. Well, what do we do with Bard? Well, kind of do the same thing, I guess, just a little different." And it pissed off a lot of people, although there's some people who still love Caster Bard. But yeah. Anyways, we're talking about melee.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We're talking about melee. I feel like the relevance in this conversation, we've talked about range, is I feel like if any role doesn't need a lot, it's probably melee. Other roles could probably use more. Melee is not in a really bad spot, I don't think, right now. Am I wrong in saying that?
I don't think it is.
It's it's a pretty neutral position right now.
Yeah. I mean,
your overall responsibility hasn't necessarily changed.
Yeah,
I'd say it's in a good spot just because we have so many jobs and we're getting another. We have a lot of variety in what different play styles you have, so it's like it has that just as a base, just because we have so many of us, that it's going to fit so many different people's different tastes in what makes a job good, what makes a job bad. We have the easier stuff like Reaper. We have harder jobs. It covers the full gambit, and probably need more of other jobs if we're getting more DPS. As much as I'm glad Ninja's finally getting something to share gear with, we have enough melee.
Well, you know what's funny? Discussing that too, and looking at physical range and looking at casters. If you put them side by side, melee and the casters and vis range kind of line up, but they're just categorized a little bit differently, right? Do you feel like melee is going to get to a spot to where it should be split to two different types of melee, or should it just be one big just group of melee, like a more supportive side of melee and a less supportive side of melee, or something like that?
I'm honestly hoping that after Viper they don't add anymore. 6 is already an absurd amount for that role.
Yep. And just listening to this reminded me, I don't know how I forgot my biggest gripe about melees right now, actually.
Gearing the man.
Is the fact that there are so many different gear sets with so many different melds.
Mm-hmm.
I think
this
with
is when I present
Shadowbringers...
my idea to
Go
you,
ahead.
Frosty.
Oh, okay.
Check this out. Ready?
All right.
Hear me out. Hear me
Listen.
out.
Yeah.
You get rid of the current iteration of materia. No more melding your gear.
Okay.
You keep the materia in the game, though, and instead, you meld your jobstone. And it works almost... It looks like a skill tree, but it's not quite a skill tree. You pick the stats that you want with those materia in tiers, and then you have a different meld set for every job that you play, but you can keep the same gear and not have to worry about changing melds.
I like this.
I mean, you're basically deleting materia from the game.
No,
Because
you're
how many
keeping
materia
materia.
do you need to put on a jobstone?
The same amount you would use for gear.
Literally the exact same amount? How many is that?
For pentamelded, a fuckload, but
Yeah.
for bis sets, I don't know, like...
And what if you just
20?
put crit? Just can you not? Was there going to be a max?
Yeah,
Of
I
crit?
mean, it's
Okay.
it's still the same subsets as it is on gear, but instead of it being on your gear, so when you switch jobs, you don't have a 238 skill speed on dragoon when you're swapping over or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Should it also, with what gear you have, limit what could be on that jobstone? Like if you have too much crit in your gear overall, it limits how much crit you could put on your jobstone?
Mhm.
Yeah. Similar to how it already does with gear. In the
Like
game now.
exactly the same substats. It's except you just meld the jobstone instead.
Okay. Okay.
But it's laid out instead of like a 0 out of 280 or whatever it is on that stupid melding menu.
Mhm.
It's more simplified and it's showing the same information as a skill tree. It looks like a skill tree.
Okay. Okay. You know, I wouldn't be completely against it. I don't think that's it would make me feel one way or the other, to be honest with you. I've never like really cared. I mean, I do a little bit. When
Have
you're
you
playing...
swapped from summoner to black mage?
Yes,
ever?
I have, and I played fucking
Would
I
it
played
not just
spell
be
speed
easier
everything.
then to meld your jobstone so you don't have to play horrible skills or spell speeds on black mage?
Yeah, yeah. So
It
much
would
spell
be.
speed. I was a
So bad.
fast red mage and a fast summoner. But yeah, I get
Honestly,
it. That sucks a lot to do that.
It's bad.
And especially for somebody who likes to play all the melees, swapping those gear sets is really annoying.
Yeah.
My
Especially
solution was
specifically
getting
between monk and samurai are the big problems.
even going from like samurai to dragoon with all the skill speed melds is a pain.
Oh my
It got to the point where I just got an extra set of accessories because I didn't want to have to unmeld and remeld endlessly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Wex, what were you? By the way, sorry, what were you saying earlier?
I don't know specifically what I was saying earlier. I think it was just mostly agreeing.
Okay.
Like, when it comes to materia, I think the entire system with the current advent of the hunt community and the hunt trains on... I don't know how far hunt trains go. I don't know if every data center at this point has started doing them, but at least on, like, Aether, by the end of month 1 of a new expansion, getting materia is no longer a concern. It's no longer a factor. You have infinite of it. It's just a chore that, oh, if I want to play multiple jobs, I need multiple pieces of gear, or to just constantly blow up materia that you have basically infinite amounts of already. It's just a chore.
Okay. Okay.
let's say on the topic of gearing in Melee, because this is my biggest gripe with the role now. We have 3 different gear sets now for Melee and 6
Mhm.
jobs, and what pieces they use is probably going to be unique. And I don't know about you, but I like gearing all the Melee on one character, especially before like an ultimate or something like that. We're getting to the point where it's not going to be possible. Like if you have a time frame, like an ultimate coming out in like 2 to 3 months, like you don't have enough time to do
Yeah,
it,
you
even doing
can't.
splits.
Oh yeah, you gotta
have to- you
dedicate
have
to a job or make another character.
Or make alts
Yeah.
and go at it. And I don't think that's good design with what they're going for, because they didn't. The way the game's designed is not around having alts. It's about playing everything on one character.
Yeah.
And
Why the hell does Ninja use aiming right side?
yeah,
Somebody please tell me.
Because that's the only
So
dexterity
dumb.
accessories.
Yeah.
So
just make it use
dumb.
strength and call it a day.
Let's go back to tank accessories on the Melee.
It used to share
No.
striking gear. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. They just made a decision and they kind of live with it, right? that's what it is. They might change that up because there has been a lot of talk about gear over the last couple of years. I think that hopefully they've heard, but we'll find out in like less than a week now, maybe. They did say they wanted to up the rewards overall, like what, by 150% or something like that. So maybe we're gonna see a lot more like different ways to get best in slot gear for jobs, but I don't know. I think the gear system is really boring right now. I think loot in dungeons is kind of boring, or loot in raids is kind of boring now too.
that's a whole
yeah.
show by itself, I
It is.
think.
Mm-hmm.
Gearing is a whole different show.
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to Melee, it's literally the only role that doesn't share everything the same with the other jobs in the role, so you can't swap back and forth. I mean, and when we're
The only
talking,
thing,
go ahead.
the only thing that's shared is slaying accessories across 4 jobs. I wish it was shared across all 6.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting to the point where we keep adding these different jobs, and small tangent again. Let's go into our WoW versus Final Fantasy 14 mind for a second. Okay. Leveling up a character in WoW, you level up that character, you cannot have any other jobs with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have that one fucking job, one class. In Final Fantasy 14, you level up that character, you can level up every single job under that same class. Now, the one benefit that like WoW has is when you level up that character, you just switch a spec and you switch how that job is played. Final Fantasy 14 can't really work exactly that way, because they would have to do a lot of work to give different specs to jobs. But I think in the future that could be the direction they take. Instead of adding a whole bunch of more jobs, they add in different specs that allow you to play that one character you leveled up in different ways. And that could be more interesting in general, instead of just, because we're going to hit this point to where we have too many melee, too many tanks, too many everything, and it's just a chore for a new player to come to the game and have to level up a new fucking job every time they want to try something else. But I don't know. With melee in particular, the only exception is Scholar and Summoner, and they just, I don't know if they're just never gonna take that away or not.
I've been guessing, like, for the last 3 expansions, this is gonna be the one where they decouple them. This is gonna be the one. This is gonna be one, and it never happens.
I want them to keep that because whenever I have to level an alt just to help somebody do something, I'm like, oh, I can level summoner and a healer at the same time. Perfect.
The convenience. I love
Yeah.
it.
I mean, they could couple other jobs. They could just go in.
Yeah.
All right, just couple other jobs together. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the show. We're going to take a quick sponsored intermission break to talk about some of our show supporters, Tokyo Treat and Sakura. If you're unfamiliar with them, give me just a second to tell you what they're all about. Tokyo Treat is a monthly snack box that includes up to 20 exclusive and limited edition and seasonal flavored Japanese snacks. Scorco is another monthly snack box focused on supporting the local Japanese snack makers, which include 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan snacks. They also come with Japanese teas and special items like tableware. For May, we received 2 different themes with our boxes. Let's go ahead and check out Tokyo Treats first. Their box is themed after ninjas. The box will come with chocolate orange Kit Kats, a katana candy sword, gold Nabata, apple juice, ninja grape mints, and much, much more ninja themed items. I would like you to look at the wonderful candy sword, candy katana that they sent as well with this month's box. Oh, it also comes with ninja stars. This is amazing. Hold on. I just saw this and I have to open it up. I can open it up. Hold on. They sent these cardboard ninja stars. I love it. I love it. For Sakurako, their box is themed around the flavors of Hanakane, which lies in the verdant landscapes of Kanagawa. Snacks will include flavors that reflect the region's rich culinary heritage and past. In their box, they'll have snacks like strawberry milk almonds, Hanakane story green tea, and much, much more. Before we try any of the snacks, I do want to go ahead and check out the tableware item they gave, which was this plate. That's a marquetry themed plate in honor of their artistic skill that goes into marquetry woodwork. It's dishwasher safe. It's actually really, really amazing. You could probably put soy sauce or something of that nature in there. I am absolutely going to add this to my collection. I have a decent amount of these plates now, and they're all really cool. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the snacks now. They came with this amazing box here. It's very tranquil. You could tell it kind of emphasizes the island here of water, still water. For the snack that I'd like to try with you guys is actually the Yokohama raisin sandwich, which is interesting. It caught my attention. Not something I expected to get in a box, a raisin sandwich. But I'd like to go ahead and give it a try and just see what it tastes like. Yeah. This is kind of like a soft cookie. You can taste the raisin flavor in there. I'm going to read in the book here. The Yokohama raisin sandwich has been thoughtfully crafted since 1975. Plump raisins soaked in brandy syrup are nestled between the buttery cookies and the cream filling for a truly indulgent flavor. It is vegetarian friendly as well. Beautiful, and I thank you very much, Sakurako, for giving me another thing that I have never tried in my life before, but I am happy that I did. Now, of course, like always, these boxes come with these amazing little booklets that go in there. You can see the Ninja Snack Venture booklet here and the Flavors of Hunakane booklet, which gives you all the details that you need about what's going on, the events they're doing, the areas that they're representing, whatever cultural event they're representing as well, and plenty of snack information so you know if what you're eating is vegetarian, if you have any allergies to it or anything else, and if the items are dishwasher safe, which is wonderful. So thank you very much. These booklets are amazing. With that being said, I want to quickly say thanks again to everyone for giving me a moment of your time in the middle of this show. Tokyo Treat and Sakurako are great services and could also be an awesome gift for a family member or a friend. Japanese snacks delivered straight to your door from Japan, all while helping support what we do here. Use the MogTalk link and code to get $5 off your first box, and you can find them in the description below. Again, thanks Tokyo Treat and Sakurako for sponsoring us this month again. Enjoy the rest of the show. The strange thing where some jobs start at certain levels and other jobs don't. But if they couple more jobs together, they give players more options to play when they hit the end game, because the more jobs they add into the game, the more likely jobs are just not going to be chosen at all for raids anymore, because they'll just be, even if they're a little bit underpowered, they'll be underpowered enough for people not to want them in their raid group. I mean, we don't really run into that currently, especially not with the current tier with the DPS being so small, or the DPS requirements being very little. But in your opinion, do you guys feel like it's harder to get into groups as a certain type of melee versus others right now?
Oh, really?
No, right now balance is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
But adding in our 6 melee, do you have any concerns that will ever happen, or do you think that we're just gonna stay away the same?
Gear's just gonna continue to be a nightmare if they don't do something about it. That's all I'm thinking.
Okay, just think
Yeah.
about gear. Okay. Because you have to make a choice, right? You have to say, am I gonna be I guess a striking melee?
Not even. Do I want to be a monk or a samurai? Because they use entirely different
They
pieces
use
of
entirely
gear.
different gear.
True.
One
Okay.
stacks a lot more skill speed than the other.
Yeah.
Meld the jobstone.
Okay.
I think that's really like the only option that fits every situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, besides gearing, you know, I want to ask this too. At like seven ranged, if we group them together, 6 melee. Do you guys feel like Square Enix should design fights that require 2 melee?
No.
No.
No, I honestly think
I think
they
that should be. I think that should be a choice that the team makes.
Okay.
or
They
even
already
like,
did. It's called Party Finder.
Even like the bonus stats that we get now for certain party compositions. Like, I hated when they added that because it took away a lot of variety in how you would build a team. But also, if you were to remove it right now, nobody would bring a fizz range to any fights. So, kind of devil's advocate.
Yeah. It's a very duct tape solution having the 5% in there. It doesn't matter at all right now, of course, but at the beginning of a tier it does.
Oh yeah,
It really does. And I mean, in all honesty, as the tier goes on, the skill levels of groups that are going into it, that 1% still helps out a lot for quite a while. But I do feel like there is a sense already in the community that people do this all the time. It's everywhere, and every time I have a conversation with anyone, they argue with me about how 2 melee is the right way to go. But
Why?
because it's just in their head, right? It's in the strats they see in guides, M1, M2, right? You're like, these are the 2 spots that need to be filled with melee. It's just what it is.
I see.
And you can't convince people easily that it doesn't fucking matter. And the argument always comes down to, oh, well, if a range is doing a melee position, they're just going to fuck it up.
Huh?
no,
No, that's not how that works.
I think you
Not at
highly
all.
underestimate
Yeah, that's
range
what
players.
and range players trying to get into Party Finder, right? And so the biggest concern is when people are afraid to do different positions. That's the big concern. When they're not afraid of doing their position, that's a good sign. It means that they actually understand the fight a little bit better, probably, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
But if they don't walk it down to where you need 2 melee for a group, you start running into the situation where there's a whole bunch of melee out there that have less of a chance maybe getting into groups. I don't know. Because those spots could be filled up with three range really. Oh, I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure out where the benefit would really come in by trying to lock it down to 2 melee.
I feel like it should be left up to player agency whether you want to run 3 ranged or you want to run 2 melee. Like I don't feel like forcing either side is healthy for the game at all. Like, it definitely needs to be a player choice, but also it comes down to the community realizing that running 2 melee isn't the end all be all to doing content, and that there's benefits to running a 3rd ranged instead of a 2nd melee.
Yeah. Lots of race statics either recruit for or have had for a long time a dedicated DPS player who swaps between Red Mage Summoner and a melee.
Yeah, that's still relevant even in the world race. Or
And that player
to this day.
will swap from Red Mage Summoner after the 3rd turn to a melee in the 4th turn just to get that little tiny bit of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll even just prog on the Red Mage Summoner until they get to the end, and then if they need it, then they'll swap.
Yeah, I mean, Red Mage is a good one to prog on just because you start to learn a little bit about somewhat in melee positions, right?
Yeah.
And where you can stand for safety. And you get the billion raises. So, fucking day. That's a whole nother show. We already did that one. But when we're talking about, I guess, going into melee, you think they don't need to categorize those into like support melee or like damage melee or anything like that and start splitting them up?
Do kind of like the idea of support melees. I like my very evil scheme, if I could change this game, would be to have like highly augmented jobs in every role that could do everything. And that's like a whole show on its own. But
Yeah.
like the
Oh,
idea of having like a jumps oriented dragoon versus like a buffs and support oriented dragoon is very interesting to me.
One that focuses on its own damage versus one that focuses on the group's damage.
Yep.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
But then you start running into like really heavy meta shit, right?
Well,
What
mean,
variety
yeah,
you
but
get.
then if,
you're gonna
like,
run
if-
into it no matter what.
If they had the agency,
yeah.
they would just like, balance the game more frequently, or like pay attention to like what's happening on all the data centers and then like congregate that data and then like do something interesting, shift the meta like other games do.
Yeah.
Instead of
true.
doing the 3 or 4 month, updates that like,
Yeah, every
really
3
do
months.
look
Yeah,
It
shit,
would,
shit.
it would actually work out better in 14 because like in WoW, oh no, my job got nerfed and now I need to level a whole nother character. In 14, it's just change a job stone.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you got to level
Yeah.
that character still, but.
Oh yeah.
But you have so
like
many
if
benefits
you're
already.
Yeah.
halfway through an expansion, you probably have every job you're gonna play leveled at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think Final Fantasy 14 needs to have more easily accessible options for changing jobs instead of having to go through and level another one or do something like that. Because that's the point, I think, of this game. That's one of the highlights is that you can play multiple jobs. But if it's like kind of a drag to get some of these jobs leveled up, it sucks. I mean, you could pay for it, right? That's one way to do it. But yeah. Then your gear. The gear is a thing that would be limiting you from switching your job, right?
Especially how it is now.
That is-
Unless
That's how it is now.
Mm-hmm.
we meld the job stone. Say it with me, everyone.
Meld the job stone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would fix some of the issues. I don't think it would fix all of them.
Well, with 3 different
Yeah.
types of gear sets for melee, yeah, that's crazy.
A step in the right
Oh,
direction.
now if you
Yeah.
implemented both making every melee use like the same gear and that'd be ideal, at least in my world.
I mean, yeah, I feel like gearing. So here's the thing that I really like. God damn it, this is not the caster show, but Black Mage, right? It has 2 different styles of playing with spell speed or crit. And I feel like they should make more jobs feel like you can do that instead of here's your skill speed. This is what you want for the skill speed of this job, so all of your shit lines up, right? After that, it's all crit and det. Or not crit and det, crit and direct hit, right?
Kind of both, direct hit and det.
Yeah, it depends on the gear and the caps and everything, right? And the
Yeah.
point of the expansion, right?
Yeah, when you start getting late into the expansion, direct hit and crit scale kind of uncontrollably.
Yeah. So I do think that they should have gear be more interesting, as in like depending on what stats you pick depends on kind of the play style of that job. But that's probably too hard for Square Enix. I'm gonna be honest. It's probably a little too much work to get jobs to be at that point to where you can kind of go into different styles of play with that. I mean, Melee doesn't have anything like that, right?
No,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
almost
back in
every...
Heaven's Word,
Yeah, true. That's the last time we had that though.
3.5 gear goals per minute.
Yeah. I mean, Summoner had it for a little bit too, I think, right? But I don't know. Melee's always been just straightforward with it. Depending on the job that you play. Okay. All right, let me look at this other stuff. True North. True North's something I want to talk about. Do you feel like we should remove True North?
No.
No,
No.
There
I
are
think it's
some
still...
moments in fights currently where you, depending on the pattern, literally need it to play your job at its utmost performance.
Yeah.
You have to have it.
Yep.
There's exact, like, Super Chain 1, right? Exact spots where it becomes super beneficial.
Pantocrator.
Yeah.
Unlimited wave cannon.
Yeah.
P6. Like, you start at the north of the boss or northwest of the boss and rotate. Like, you're not getting a positional that entire time unless you use it.
You could be like some players, like me sometimes, where I just say, hey, I'm going to do more damage because I'm pressing this button. Right? Because I'm not moving anywhere ever in a fucking fight. Yeah, I'm not going to make it over there. Let me just increase my damage and say I hit the positional and I press it. And I...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a benefit of the button. I mean, it gives
Yeah.
you that option.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it is good because then I think they introduced that just so they could have a little bit more flexibility with fights and have it to where you can put all the jobs having to run around the boss and not worry about positionals for a second. But I do feel like bigger hitboxes, smaller hitboxes, whatever. But off the side bosses kind of piss me off a bit. I know it's great aesthetically to see this giant boss off to the side and everything, but I feel like it just doesn't feel that great, in particular as like, at least with melees. I don't know. Every single time, it feels bad seeing that because I know there's one thing that I'm constantly thinking about that I do not have to think about for that fight.
Half the time I'm hitting True North anyway, thinking it does have a positional. The
Yeah.
Realm Reborn brain in me that, like, oh, Leviathan is a frontal positional still, so this boss definitely has one. No, it's omnidirectional now.
How many of you always hit True North in your opener no matter fucking what?
I used to. Now I don't have
Yeah,
to.
me too.
Yeah. Okay.
I had to break that habit when they changed how Dragon Sight worked.
I sometimes
still go
do.
for positionals.
Oh,
Yeah, same. I'm always
just
I mean,
like,
like,
I always
I'm
go
like,
for
what
them
am I
when
doing?
it's acceptable to do. Yeah.
I
I mean, I'll hit True North and still go for the positional, and then it's like, why did I do this?
it's a safety net, you know? Like, just in case. The
I wonder
tank
if they're
turns
gonna
it.
make Meisui give you True North while it's active.
Oh God, please no. It'd be nice, but also, ugh.
Do you think that should be across the board where everything has like that kind of effect somewhere in their rotation to where all 2 minutes they just get rid of positionals?
not really.
No?
I'm gonna say yeah. Fuck it.
Okay.
Actually, I mean, look, give me a mechanic at a 2-minute window that has me moving around constantly for like 20 to 30 seconds. Sure, do it. I mean,
Yeah. If that's the direction they're going with the game, then yeah.
but if it's just another 2-minute window where I'm standing still, moving between flank and rear for the entire buff window, no, do not, because I don't want to I don't want to stand still and just do my rotation. That's kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's where Dragoon kind of has that benefit, is that, you know, they don't have to worry about hitting True North or do anything during their 2 minute, where it's like a super mechanic vomit. Am I wrong in thinking that too? That every 2 minutes, 1 minute, whatever, is when mechanics actually happen? All right, when you're actually doing your
That's
rotation.
usually yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually
they-
how design's going now.
Yeah, and so if they just add in like, hey, just forget about positionals while you're doing this mechanic vomit, that could make it easier to play melee. But I don't know. Some of the melees will be easier, some of them won't. Right? Because you just use True North anyways. Fuck, I don't know, man. God. I guess it doesn't matter.
Like the main thing for Dragoon, especially in Walker, is we were the melee job with the most positionals, and you know you have to hit them. You hit like 4 or 5 of them in your opener every time, and every time you loop through the 10 GCDs. So having that was kind of nice. But like Ninja, most of the time you're just hitting the rear, and every now and then you hit armor crush from the flank. Monk in the opener, I think you only hit like 1 positional
It's
for the
literally
entire
one.
opener. Yeah.
I still
It's
do the monk
demolished.
positionals.
Same, because I don't remember which
Same.
ones they got rid of.
Yep.
You just have to. I mean, technically, you could just stand on the flank the entire time or on the back the entire time, and you hit half your positionals. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's yeah, you could. It's lots of a lot of potency, but you could.
Is it really that much potency these days, man?
Yes.
I don't know. Okay. All right.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Quite a lot.
If you miss like 50 positionals that are worth 40 potency, that's it's pretty significant.
Okay. All right.
Do you guys remember in Heavensward the small period of time when your 4th positional on Dragoon was a 200 potency loss?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't think we need to go back to that, but I do think we need to go back to positionals actually being a significant loss of damage.
I mean,
if they're going to keep going in this direction.
Going into Endwalker, I thought that Wormwind Thrust was going to be like, you wouldn't get it if you didn't do your positionals, because you used to not get Ride Thrust if you missed the 5th hit positional.
Activations?
I forgot about that.
Yep.
So I thought that was going to be like, okay, I get Wormwind Thrust, I'm rewarded for hitting this positional every time. Nope.
Jesus.
Not what they wanted to do.
That would feel so bad.
I would incentivize you to hit it, wouldn't it?
So like the lower level, skill floor for players don't even do like proper rotations anymore because they
you would
can't.
lose
They'll be
out.
locked out.
You'd lose 400 potency like every 10 GCDs.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I feel like positionals are in a good spot. Are you guys concerned they're going to get rid of them? Like, genuinely, do you think that there's a case that they're going to?
I wouldn't care one way or the other.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm indifferent.
It depends on how they go with fight design.
Yeah.
If we keep current fight design without positionals, ugh. But if we get like really cool fight design that has us moving around and engaging in unique ways, then yeah, definitely could do away with them.
Okay, with that comment, I have to ask. I'm guessing you've played like Fizz ranged.
Yes.
And fights. Do you go ugh every time that you have to go play Fizz ranged?
Yes.
Oh shit. Well, we'll see. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. There's not gonna be any major changes for jobs outside of Dragoon and Astro.
I wouldn't even say
not.
that the Dragoon Astro changes are going to be major.
You don't think so?
No,
not really. Gonna be trimming a few
I think
buttons
people
down.
are freaking out over them saying the word rework, but I don't think they're gonna like completely from the ground up change it.
Well, I mean,
think people are like worried that the entire identity of the job is going to be lost or changed, and it's not going to be that.
Identity's not going to be lost ever. They always go in the direction of adding identity. I think besides removing them, right?
Yep.
Summoner lost a little bit of identity in its rework.
Did it, or did it gain identity?
I think it lost the identity that the player base gave it.
The
and not
dot
what they
identity.
invented.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair in a sense, but in the fantasy,
I jab. Fuck dots. I'll say it.
I hate them too.
I hate how they balance dots in this game, man. Just get rid of them. Call it a day.
You know what they should do is with some dots make it. Oh god, there was a fucking move in WoW. Of course, I'm comparing again, but where the dot can't. If you renew it before the timer runs out, you lose a ton of potency from it exploding at the end. And so it made you have
that
to
was
like.
That was on Affliction Warlock. Yeah,
Was it?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe that would be nice to have, so you're always applying after it falls off instead of during and just doing uptime with it. It makes you think a little bit more of it, but I don't know.
There's like that and Ignite on Fire Mage, I think, where you really wanted it to expire.
Yeah, I'm trying to go through my. I've played every fucking job in the last 6 months, just like trying to learn everything. But with Melee, Monk has the dot, right? That you need to manage.
Demolish,
Reaper has like a
Demolish.
buff. You got to keep up.
Which is getting removed.
You think
Or
so?
Nah.
Don't get
That's
Woops
staying.
started on death design. Oh boy.
No,
It's just
keep
heavy
it-
thrust with the new bit of paint.
No, just because of the AoE version and the
It's
the
literally
Dark Missionary part of it.
Okay.
It has less
Like-
of a place than Kaiten.
No, I hard disagree just because of dungeon content. I'm also a proponent of Kaiten didn't matter. But like death's design in dungeons feels so good just because at the end of every trash pull you go from 0 gauge back up to 100 in a fraction of a second, and that just feels so amazing for dungeon content. You don't get that in raids, but unless they start bringing back ad phases that have lots of ads, which would be really good for death's design to stay, bringing back ad phases. Like that's so satisfying just to go
The
from
gauge part
you spent
is
it all
fine.
and get it all back.
I think there's a different way that you can incorporate that into the kit without having to force you to press an uncomboed action in the middle of your rotation in a raid.
It's just something to. It's like you're just keeping a ball in the air constantly, right?
Yeah.
We're in
much, yeah.
downtime. Oh, am I below 30 seconds? I got it room here. Let me toss this shit in. All right.
I mean, it gives you a button to hit during Enshroud when you need to delay stuff, but also like you can just change how that works.
I have so many cool buttons coming up. Oh yay, here I go. Oh wait, I have to eat my vegetables
yeah.
first.
Yep.
Stupid ass
I'm
button.
fully okay with that.
Okay.
I mean, if Dragoons still had heavy thrust, we'd basically have the same buttons by this point. Like they would have added the AoE version.
Okay. Well, we've talked a good bit about. Go ahead.
No, I'm done with the thought.
No, I was going to say with Dragoon, we've talked a good bit about that. With Reaper, besides Death's design, what other things would you change about the job?
Please change the interaction between Arcane Circle and Plentiful Harvest. Just get rid of it. It's so dumb.
It's kind of weird, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is the stupidest interaction between two buttons I think this game has ever had.
I think it should just you could combine the buttons even, honestly, and just make your buff button turn into Plentiful Harvest. You can just press it whenever.
Yeah, it feels like bloat for sure. It's just weird because you're just like, okay, all the players hit your GCDs, they're doing it anyways, right? It's just something that's like automatic. I guess they were just trying to be creative.
Yeah.
It's definitely creative, but I think in all the wrong ways.
I disagree.
All right, Mr. Disagree. Go.
I mean, where else can you get the feeling of knowing that for whatever reason, somehow, for 5 whole seconds of an opener at the beginning of a fight, one of your fellow players did not hit a single GCD? Reaper's the only one that can give you that feeling.
Right. I don't want to know that.
How do I only have 7 stacks? Who didn't hit an entire GCD in 5 seconds?
Stares at the Astro doing 9 gajillion OGCDs.
As a Dragoon player, you should understand that it's annoying to swap gear sets, and if you didn't put a singular skill speed on your Reaper set, you're gonna clip your Plentiful Harvest because of that interaction every time.
Oh my god.
True.
I'd say
But that's the problem with gear, not the job.
I think the other fun thing about Reaper in that regard is like those are all buffs, and if you've ever hit buff cap before playing Reaper and lost the lottery and lost your stacks for Plentiful Harvest and every other which way that it could be a nightmare, GG.
Yeah, they just need to change buffs, right? Reduce that shit down. It's so bad looking at like, especially as a healer or whatever, looking at like your party lists and the buffs are just like fucking flying off the screen and shit. You can only keep track of so many at a time, and I'm just like, god damn, dude. They do need to simplify that and rein that in a bit.
Well, the problem with that is that's partly why we have so much less emphasis on dots these days, is because the exact same thing was happening in Alliance raids with dots overflowing the cap, that half the time you would not be able to either A, see your dot, it did apply but you don't see it, or B, you just didn't get your dot at all because the debuff cap was hit, and so it's just gone, and you just have to live with it that you lost the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could separate it a little bit into like how you filter the buffs or something like that would be good, like personal buffs, and I don't know. There's probably
the game is not coded for that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You would need to recode stuff to make that work.
If
You'd have to
ever
rebuild
want,
this game from the ground up for that stuff.
If you ever
Okay,
want
okay.
a fun side quest like of research of a day, go look at how this game calculates dots. Multiple
Calculates it
dots on a
by
boss.
server tick, yeah?
It combines everybody's potency and then ticks it on the server tick at the same time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
It's like a coding nightmare.
Yeah.
Like actual PS2 coding.
No, PS3 and it's 256 megabytes.
Oh, true.
Oh, true.
PS3 fucked up so much stuff, dude. What was
Oh
the
man, think of
processor?
what
Getting
this
back
game would
to
look like.
The Reaper, though, something I've been contemplating personally is I'm not sure if I like when you press your red button, you have to press the blue button next. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
yeah.
stacks. Losing
Like
them if you hit any
at first, I
other
was like,
button.
okay, I can play around that. That's a little interesting, like class design thing. I get it. And then like the more I played it, I was like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
This really fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Do we like that, or can we
No.
see that go?
I liked it.
I mean, I've had times where I hit Harvest Moon and lose those stacks, and then I just
Yep.
want it's just
It's
want to throw the
almost
job stone in the trash.
it's almost never a situation where I want to like do my 1, 2, 3 or a death design. Even it's like I have to like get out and I have to press harp or harvest moon, and then it cancels it.
Hmm.
I think it's a
So
matter
that
of
forces me to
different
go
tastes.
out and then do nothing.
What are you saying, Wesk?
I think it's just a matter of different tastes in job design of what people like in different jobs. I enjoy that part of Reaper. It's part of the challenge. It's the expression of the job for as what little it might have. People would say it's yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to make sure I understand. The red and the blue, I feel like I lost there for a second. You mean going into the avatar, whatever, avatar state?
No.
Oh, or you talking about?
Imagine you press gluttony.
Yeah.
You have to press gibbet, gallows, or guillotine next to blue buttons.
Yes. Yeah.
If you press anything else, you can't press gibbet, gallows, guillotine.
Yeah, it goes away. Right. Yeah. So, I hate that in the same sense that you're talking about, but I do agree in the sense that like it's just part of how you tell the difference between a player who knows what they're doing versus not what they're doing.
Oh,
Right.
that's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay.
Also, Raiju.
I mean, Raiju lets you press throwing daggers.
True, it does.
Mm.
What
you
I'm
could
saying is
you could
when
add harp as an exception, but
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Is
Yeah,
because
add
that
Harvest
part-
Moon and
I didn't
Harp
get
as
that
an
part.
exception to
points
that.
where the boss is like, all right, your guillotine's up, press it right now. Also, get out for 5 seconds. So you press guillotine, you egress away, and then you're just fucking standing there doing nothing.
Yeah, I
You
hate that.
can't do
That's
anything
annoying.
about it.
Yeah.
It just disrupts the flow of the job, and I don't like it.
I would say if you're out for 5 seconds, you probably didn't need to go out that soon.
Oh. Whoops, you getting called out?
Well, I know Whoops recently did Ramu again, and it's a prime example of that being an issue.
Remove extreme?
Extreme?
You talking-
No, the Savage.
Oh, Savage one?
E5.
Oh, Eden.
Yeah. That you want to die to the poles? Try going out like really late. You'll die because snapshotting on that fight is
That
a
one's
pain.
fair.
Yeah. I don't know. Should melee have more just ranged options in general? I guess. I mean, monks. The answer to that is what? Do a
You
kick?
shouldn't lose your blue stacks for pressing harp and harvest moon.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
I can agree with that
And that's
much.
literally
Yes.
proven with
That's-
the fact that
that's-
Raiju exists
Yeah.
in its current state.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Ninja, but we haven't talked too much about Ninja. Do you guys feel like Ninja's in a pretty good state, and all they need is a second frog?
I think Ninja's amazing right now.
I really like how Ninja plays.
It's very fun, very good.
the super hectic opener and just having to deal with all of its different elements at once, I think is unique to even just the melee of even just the entire game in general of every job has so many things to hit in their 2 minutes, but ninjas is a level of its own.
Okay. Let me think. What were the big issues I had with Ninja? That was the bunnies, right? You're learning it.
I mean, the elephant in the room is Tenchi-jin.
Yeah, Tenchi-jin is pretty rough.
I think Tenchi-jin should heavy slow you instead of lock you into place and losing it.
Like, you don't lose it, you're just slowed.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a fair thing to do, but there are going to be a lot of people who die doing it all the time. Instead of losing DPS, they'll just die because they couldn't move fast enough, right?
I mean, people have that same issue with it now because it locks you in place.
Yeah,
so they're like,
well,
I
you
have
move.
to hit it here.
You could move.
Yeah, but you lose it.
Yeah, you lose it, but you live.
Yeah.
True.
Chikuchi.
You could Sakuchi, yeah. Sakuchi would be the answer to that, too.
My issue with Tenchi-jin is less the being able to move mid, and that if you hit it even just slightly too early, that you hit it before you let go of W, it just disappears immediately. You didn't even get it just because you were a fraction too late to let go of your movement key.
Yeah. It's definitely the one. They threw that in there because they want to be like, all right, let's give ninjas some kind of like plant thing where they can't move. Samurais have to cast a bit. Let's just give ninjas their thing, right? And this is probably the worst out of all of the melee jobs in regards to being locked down.
I mean, like, with Ninja right now, I'm genuinely curious what they're going to add to it, because that job feels pretty complete in its current state.
Yep.
Especially with the change to Raijus and stuff, like, I genuinely don't know where they take it.
Shit.
Yeah, that loops back down to what was mentioned earlier of that not necessarily simplifying the jobs overall, but having to basically remake every job first to get anything new out of it, which is partly why I'm for a Dragoon rework. Just, I don't know how they can keep evolving Dragoon without doing some form of mass pruning or just getting back to basics to add new stuff or a new leveling system or any of that. They just have to really go into it, get in deep to be able to have jobs evolve at all anymore at this point.
I mean, Ninja's technically the third oldest melee, right?
Yes.
Basically as old as Monk and Dragoon. They just missed a Realm Reborn most of it.
It was like, what, 3/4 of the way into Realm Reborn it came out?
Yeah, it's
2.4,
like,
wasn't it?
yeah, 2.4 I think is right. 2.4, 2.5,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. And Ninja, they're adding a frog, so they're either enhancing some of their abilities, right, and giving them maybe more effects or something to them. That could be a possible addition to it. Is that they just kind of I'm
gonna hit you with the reality check.
Yeah,
It's probably just gonna be like 20 or 30 more potency.
you think so?
That's
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Everything's just
Yeah.
20, 30 more potency, no more. They're not going to do the same
Pretty
thing like with
much.
tanks where they said, hey, if you get hit within 5 seconds, you'll get a bigger benefit out of it or anything like that.
Nope, don't think
Okay.
so.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what they could do with Ninja either, now that I'm starting to think about it more. I mean, they have good movement. They
They kind
have
of just got everything.
a decent
They're done.
rotation.
They're like the Swiss Army knife of the melee role. I mean, you can do everything on that job.
Give them back a goad.
Code.
What are we gonna
There's
make
no-
it do?
Give TP, but there's still no TP.
You know what would be funny? I want to add shit like this, and I know it would piss so many people off. Is add in like what is it, like cooldown speed or skill speed, like haste. Just throw haste on people, and so their attacks get out of line with their cooldowns and everything else.
The return to enhanced arrow.
Yeah.
Astrologans had their
Oh
time. Now it's
my
Ninja's
God.
turn.
Make everybody's.
Hey, give it to me in a burst window so I can get an extra GCD under my buffs, and I'll love you forever. I mean,
Okay.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Bring
they
back
already gave Scholar
fucking
the
trick.
movement side of that, right? Let's just do the action side and give it to like Ninja or something. Shit. Or they can give it to Astro too, I guess. They deal with time, right?
give it back.
Exactly. Give it back to him. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe we'll just see some potency increases and nothing too crazy happening with them. All right. What about Samurai? I mean, the only thing we really talked about with them was the cast, right? Well, what needs to change with Samurai?
Oh man.
Samurai's
That's
probably
another-
my least played melee, but it feels okay. I just feel like they could condense a lot of the buttons down.
Yeah.
It has significantly more buttons on my hotbar than anything else.
Yeah, you know,
By
it's
a
got
long shot.
3 combo finishers.
Dragoon has a lot of buttons on your hotbar, does it not?
No, not anywhere as
Mm.
near as many as Samurai.
I mean,
Okay.
Samurai has 2 unique 3-part combos. I mean, okay, yeah, they're 3-part combos, but they start from the same first button, and then it has a 2-part combo. That's quite a lot.
In the AoE combo, and then 2 different versions of Shinten, and then 2 different versions of Shoha, and then Meditate, and then what's it called? Hagakure.
Hagakure.
Hakakure,
Got the gap
yeah.
closer, it's got the backstep, it's got the ranged attack. And
Got
then
Garen and
it's got,
Sanai.
it's got the
Third
line
eye.
spender, and it's got the single target spender, and then it's got Iki Shoten, and then it's got you see where
Ogi
I'm going with this?
Namakiri. Yeah. Kaishi Namakiri.
It has
Yeah, it's
so
there's a
many
lot.
buttons.
I mean, I could just stack some actions on top of each other, right? Once
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get rid
Yeah.
of Shoha. Just make it AoE.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I
That's it.
throw all my AoE off to the fucking side when I play chops, and I don't even look at them.
Uh-oh.
So what do you need AoE for?
For roulette, motherfucker.
I do a roulette with melee. I'm not gonna wait that long, dude. Let's kill a taker
It's only
healer.
like
What the
10
fuck you
minutes.
think? Oh,
Oh man.
the way am I queuing up as a DPS when I can queue up as a healer or a tank? Crazy, dude. Actually, I think the fastest way you could do most roulettes is with healer, isn't it? Because
I
you
do
have
tank.
control of doing
yeah.
damage. I mean, tanks, lead that speed in some regard too. But if you have a healer that's not doing any damage, it slows it down a good bit too.
Oh yeah.
Used to be Scholar, dude. Man, Scholar dungeons used to be fucking crazy.
Hate Scholar.
You hate it?
Yes.
Oh.
One of, if not my least favorite job in the game.
Oh damn. Oh damn. That's I don't think Scholar deserves that. Fuck. Worst job in the game really goes to Monk.
There's
Eh.
a whole subset of
Only
players
because I
that
hate
will
playing
fight
it.
you on
Right
that.
there.
Only because I hate
Hello?
playing
No,
it.
I think the subset of players would agree.
What were you saying, Whoops? Bard is right there?
No, I was saying Dark Knight is right there.
Dark
but
Knight
Bard's
is right
also a
there.
really good option.
Yeah, Dark sucks.
I think the idea of Dark Knight's really cool. I hate Dark Mind, and why does it have so fucking many different damage buttons, bro?
Dude, it has as
And then
many
Ed
weaves in
just
its
fills up
opener
with
as
60 second
Dragoon.
gauge. It's so stupid, bro.
you weave as much on Dark Knight as you do Dragoon in every 2-minute
Fucking
window.
insane.
It's pretty funny.
Oh. Alright. Samurai, we're doing good. Give it another cast somewhere. Alright?
Don't give Kaiten back.
No.
Don't give Kaisen back.
Okay, so if we're not giving Chitin back, I want more agency in how I spend my gauge instead of just hitting like Shinten over and over and over again.
So my opinion isn't just Kaiten. It's my opinion is there were so many changes to Kenki economy in Endwalker that Kaiten became pointless as a button just because they reduced Garen and Sanai from 50 to 25. They got rid of Saigon, a whole bunch of other things that just your economy is so different to what it used to be that Kaiten just didn't have a point. But giving more agency back into spending your gauge is good. Kai-10 alone isn't solution. We need more Kai-10 and more, I would say. After we combine buttons back. Like, we don't need to concentrate buttons. I don't remember what they're called.
No.
Shoha?
Meditate?
Shoha, yeah. Shoha.
Oh, okay. I don't
Shoha and
know.
Shoha 2 should have never been in a design. Should have just made Shoha AoE and called it a day.
Okay. Alright. What's the other one? I guess the only other one to talk about really that in the current job set is Monk, right? And I guess we're happy with where it's at.
I want to know why you think Monk is the hardest melee job.
Okay, so let me tell you what the fuck you got to do as a Monk, right? You got to put a dot up that's at fucking what, 18 seconds or something. You get a damage up buff that's at a completely different spot unless you put those buffs all next to each other, right? That is a 14 second buff or something stupid like that. So you can't hit those back to back, right? You have to kind of pace it out in different ways. Your 1, 2, 3 is never exactly just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's always 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. You know, you just keep throwing shit around constantly the entire time. Yeah. And then, so like your number 1 button is 50-50. It always changes back and forth every single fucking time. And then you have your second button, which is, do you need to get your buff back up or do you not need to get your buff back up? And then you have to know how many seconds until you would get back around to it, right? Then your third one is same thing. It's every third. You 2 one way, then you 2 to 1. And you're going back and forth with it. And this is just your standard fucking rotation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of shit. All right, that's a lot of shit to keep up with just in the standard rotation.
But
yeah,
Frosty.
Yeah.
What skill speed are you running?
I don't fucking know. I don't pay attention to this shit. All right.
Well, there's your problem.
Yeah. That's an issue.
What if I told you if you just got the right skill speed that somebody has already mathed out, that problem you just described just goes away.
It just goes away? I mean, are you saying it doesn't change up constantly?
It'll make it loop properly, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What's your proper loop?
It takes a lot of GCDs to loop.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a lot of GCDs to loop, right?
Yeah.
It's still like way more than any other.
It'll make it way simpler though than this weird timing problem that you're running into.
Yeah, but
it's
then
like playing Monk on the high end, you have 3 choices for rotation that's been mapped out now, and one of them is literally just doing a looping rotation over and over and over again.
Yep.
All right, like, and how long is that looping rotation? How long is that loop?
Let's see.
2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Like
you have to have a exact rotation that changes up differently for 2 minutes?
I mean, where you'll...
That's not the game for the other jobs. It's pretty straightforward.
I mean, where you place like twin snakes in that rotation is almost always the same. You know, it's
okay.
You know, it's a job with a lot of agency, that's for sure.
So there's that. All right, and that's just talking about its 1, 2, 3.
The cool part that I was taught about Monk from some of the best Monk players in the world is that 9 times out of 10, it doesn't fucking matter which button you press as long as it's a comboed action.
True.
Like the damage difference is actually like
so minuscule,
very small.
Well, I mean,
did you ever see the meme where somebody did P4S and only pressed Dragon Kick and got a 99?
I did not.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was funny.
This goes to show.
Okay.
Damn.
Well, it's a lot for me to try to fucking figure out as a player, especially a new player to the job, trying to figure out how to keep up with that while paying attention to mechanics, you know.
Totally get it.
And while trying to find that exact little tiny pixel that's safe to be in max melee during a mechanic rotation, and all that other bullshit that's going on, the other jobs just sit back as far as they fucking want, right? Range in general don't have to think about this shit.
Why do you think I played Dragoon, man? 2.5 GCD. I'm chilling.
Yeah,
going slow.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just the start of it. The other part is that you have to do like the light build up, then the dark build up. And you got to manage that too, and then it's not like
that up all the
time. Celestial. Sometimes you're like, oh fuck, I started the wrong one, and you fuck it up. It's like your buddy.
Oh man, man doing DSR with Sindolf on
Sindolf
Melee, and he
special,
kept
baby.
saying that button's name over and over and over. There's a pull where he had like 12 uses of it. Oh my god,
Jesus
help.
Christ. But yeah, that's another thing you got to keep up with. Then you have to like keep up with what was the fucking Brotherhood when you start getting the spam of chakras. And
that I hope they do something with, actually. Chakra overflow at the end of an expansion feels terrible.
It feels just goofy. I mean, you have jobs that deal with that in another fashion. Like I think Dancer, right? If you press your button, or if there's a lot of crits happen or whatever in a fucking row, it starts just spamming and you're just burning through your gauge. But I mean, it's the same thing. Like Monk deals with that, and you're throwing in there, and you press your button, your GCD, and then the microsecond after you press it, it pops up, and you're like, fuck, I'm gonna lose a stack or two here, right? And so I don't know. That feels weird to me.
I mean,
well.
the sooner you accept that you're pretty much always going to overcap on chakra, the better off you'll be, because it is inevitable. You cannot stop it. There are just times where in a single server tick you get 5 chakra and GG. Like, press the button.
Yeah. I mean, that's true too. But I guess maybe with Monk the thing is like it's so hard to perfect everything. I feel like, but I mean, maybe if I changed my skill speed or whatever, right? Not even a thing anymore. But also you're doing positionals, but your positionals aren't too bad with Monk, I don't think, right?
Yeah, it's only 2
it's pretty
GCs.
spaced out.
Snap, punch,
Yeah.
and demolish.
Yeah.
And it's the same form.
Yeah, and you're doing 2 snaps shots, so you just stay on the fucking flank, right? For most of it.
It's 2 snap punches into every demolish.
Yeah. But it's just like, since it's only an 18-second dot, you have to constantly be thinking about it, along with your other buff. Def's Design, fucking put it up there for a minute, right? I'm back to it at some point. Pretty easy to balance, but the shit with Monk is like you have to hit it at the right time to get the optimal output of it.
Twin Snakes is constant upkeep. It's every 2 go arounds.
Yeah.
It's just True Strike into Twin Snakes, True Strike into Twin Snakes.
But that being said, that's why I think it's one of the hardest jobs in the fucking game. Healing is easy. Tanking in this game's easy, right? Healing's only fun if you're fucking it with a group that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Otherwise,
exactly.
It's boring as
Pretty
shit.
much.
Yeah.
In farm, it sucks.
Yeah, in farm, healer is literally the most boring role to play if everyone in your group knows what they're doing. Astro's the only way you feel any kind of itch of just like excitement. Right, that's it. With card draws and everything else, but like all 3 of the other healers, they become really dull the second you stop playing with people who are dying. All right, but kind of different when you come to like melee and everything. I guess when DPS in general, it is interesting that those jobs have a little bit more of a life of like optimization excitement, I guess, after you clear the fight, right, and how to perfect it and everything else. But eventually that goes away too. So I don't know. I feel like Monk's the only one that can kind of hang on to it for quite a while because of how much work and much upkeep it seems to have to me.
I mean, I agree. Like I like Monk more now that in the Endwalker version. But like it's even without the constantly I'm doing all the old positionals, I still feel Monk is hard to mentally get through and mentally just stay on par with just because it's going so fast. And then you have all the other tough stuff on top of it.
Yeah, fuck it having all those positionals it used to have, dude. I would
it was
never.
so fun back then, though.
No way, dude.
It's fun in like an evil way, like a fucked up
when
way.
you did it all correctly, it felt really good, and when you didn't, it felt really, really bad.
Yeah. So I leave Monk as like the best job, but the worst job. Is the most satisfying to execute well, It takes probably more brain power than other melees, I think. But it's the worst feeling because of how much you noticeably fuck up while playing it when you don't play it perfectly. It's so easy to notice a mistake on it.
So the way I look at Monk is it has the largest mental stack of the melee, but also if you can play Monk well, you can play every other melee in the game well. Like it truly is like the most difficult of them to master.
Yeah. But that being said, what do they need to change about Monk besides adding graphics?
Get rid of Riddle of Wind.
Yeah, get rid of Riddle of Wind. That
Agreed,
button is
why?
so antiquated and garbage.
It's like they wanted to bring back Final Fantasy 11, but didn't know how, so they like snuck it in. Auto attacks are good, guys. They are, but like
Not that good.
Not that good.
They're like one of those things that in like a regular gameplay loop you're not paying attention to.
Mm-hmm. So should they get more ranged options for their job or
No?
Well, they don't even have one right now.
I love Six-Sided Star. I think that's super unique.
Button.
Okay.
I maintain that with the exceptions, like as was mentioned earlier, doing E5 where you have to spend so long out of range.
Mm-hmm.
That's where
few exceptions, Six-Sided Star is more than enough time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Six-Sided Star in that mechanic is just insanely good. And then now you have Thunderclap. I mean, back in the day, you had, what is it? Shoulder tackle, shoulder charge. I can't remember what it was called. Which was like you'd hit Six-Sided Star, run away, and then charge back in to keep your combo going. It was fun. It was unique. I'll put it that way.
Okay. All right. Viper. Let's just think about it for a second, okay? What are you hoping if they're adding a new melee to the game? What type of melee that you're hoping is coming into the game?
Well, they already said, right? I forget.
I mean, it's like they have burst phases and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, it sounds kind of similar to Reaper to me almost. But maybe I was right about that.
I can't remember.
On the slide, they had exactly like their design philosophy about what they wanted it to play like.
Yeah. And I would say the Reaper idea is probably right, but it might just be them cleverly ending the skill early, because in the benchmark when the Viper uses their super special awesome skill before the limit break, it ends their blue ascended state early. So either that's exactly like Communio, or it's them cleverly ending the skill early just to better show off the limit break animation. Though it does look like it has a lot more basic GCDs than, say, Reaper, just because from what I could tell in the benchmark, it looked like they had like 6 unique GCDs that are all just basic attacks that it looks like.
Okay. You guys feel like they should have heavy buff management, debuffs, things like that?
60-second party buff.
Just a 60-second party. Okay.
Or a debuff like Trick Attack.
Yeah, imagine they got rid of Trick Attack from Ninja and gave it to Viper. I know a few groups that are gonna just perma-lock one of their melee players into Viper just because of that.
Well, why would they get rid of it for Ninja? They just have
Ninja
2 jumps.
Doesn't have the 60-second trick.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you can play around a 60-second RDPS buff like that for the whole party,
it's pretty fun.
It's mad good.
Well, I mean, if they gave, I guess if they gave both Ninja and Viper that, you just every 30 seconds you'd have that up, right?
You'd be forced into running double scouting and some kind of composition. It's not. I don't think that would be fun if both of them had it. But also, I don't see them bringing back like 60-second Trick Attack. It's just not going to happen.
It's too good. It was too good.
It was too good. We did not know how good we had it.
I mean, how do you guys feel in general, I guess, about the 2-minute meta?
I think it's really stale.
I think it's stale, yeah.
I think
it's very good for low to mid end, players, which is who they have to design the game around, otherwise it'll die.
Mm.
Let's just make that very clear that us Raider Brain Ultimate Raiders are not the target audience for this game, unfortunately. I think the 2-minute meta for that considered is good, but obviously we're bored of it.
I am the outlier here. I think as a Dragoon, the 2-minute meta benefits Dragoon a lot with just how the job feels. And in general, I never thought the idea of having to align buffs was ever that difficult a concept that outside of the highest levels of the top highest level, you never really did anything beyond just hit buttons on cooldown. Very rarely did you ever hold stuff.
I do think that and there's something in chat I just want to bring up real quick, because I think this is constantly I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty confident, at least within the conversations I've heard, is that rating's not gonna quote unquote get harder or more difficult. It's just going to be more interesting, I think, is what they're saying, right? And so in general, when we're talking about 2-minute meta, we're talking about, is it easy for the mid-core, the easier raiders, and or not the easier, the lower tier raiders. Feels bad saying lower tier. Maybe more casual raiders is a nice. Okay, there we go. In a sense that Final Fantasy XIV, they want to make high-end content too. But when we talk about changing that stuff up again with all the different jobs, you're affecting everybody. Everyone going into all content. The only thing that you could really change is DPS checks to say how much it matters that you hit your rotation correctly. And I think if they change up the 2-minute meta, it would put things a little out of balance and a little bit wonky for some jobs if they have things that just align better with different jobs together versus other jobs. But when they're talking about what they're going to do in the future with fights, they want to make fights just more interesting, less boring in general. And that doesn't necessarily mean harder, right?
It's
different.
Subjective if it's going to be harder or not, depending on I assume they're talking about more puzzly-esque mechanics, split up mechanics, personal responsibility mechanics, stuff like that.
And even then, I don't think making Savage harder is per se all that much of a problem, just because Savage and Ultimate are already meant to be the hardcore level of content. There's the argument for bridging the gap between stuff like normal and extreme, but I feel like making the hard content harder isn't exactly that big of a deal outside of the people already doing the hard content.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do want Savage to be accessible to a very decent portion of the player base. And making it harder does kind of limit that. But also, again, the game is catered towards the average player, not the high end and not the absolute low end. It's you gotta design the game in a way that supports the people that keep the lights on.
Yep. So Jimmy MSQ, who logs in, is ooh, new story patch, logs in, wants to be able to log in, be I want to play Dragoon because it looks cool, and then just be able to play it, and everything lines up with everything else, and they're wow, I'm working with my team here. That's
Yeah.
what they're looking for.
Yep.
Right. I can agree with that, and that's with almost all content outside of Ultimate. Johnny MSQ can't really get into Ultimate, but when there's an axolotl amount at the very end of a tier, Johnny MSQ
could get into raiding.
Yeah,
and
Johnny could get into doing
that
Savage
he presses
raiding.
his stuff on time.
Yeah,
because that's the idea, is that Savage is from extreme to Savage, it's a jump in difficulty, but it's still achievable to the average player if they put the time and dedication in.
We really do take for granted how comfortable and familiar we are with this game when we're playing it.
Mm-hmm.
I had the pleasure of trying to take my brand new MSQ friend into an extreme trial a couple months ago, and he about had a fucking meltdown freaking out when he was playing
my
Machinist because he couldn't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, and then we
It's like-
took him into UCOB, and it
yeah,
was
then we took him
worse.
to
Oh, God.
Titania, and it was like he was about to die. Like, so-
Yeah, we thought he was gonna have a heart attack. And guess what? We like pretty much cleared Twitania with him
things
too.
you just gotta remember.
You know, in job design philosophy, when you think about Black Mage Monk, it really is one of those jobs that like someone can pick up and play, right? But if they start to like really figure it out, it becomes like a pain in the ass. But you still feel that life to it. And I think it makes everybody happy in general. Again, Monk, you can hit drag and kick apparently over and over and over again and still do okay with it. But when it comes to job design for new players, if we design jobs in a way that like it'll be okay if they're not good at the job. I mean, again, you know, we keep going out as melee bubble, but I think it all matters within this conversation somewhat. The only job that gets locked out of Party Finder is Black Mage. And the reason why is because people are so afraid that Black Mages are going to be greedy and get themselves killed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I wear that with everyone.
yeah, anyone can be greedy and stupid and get themselves killed. Good Black Mages are really good at doing some fun shit, right? But visually, it looks scary as shit to the rest of the party.
True.
So, when we're talking about jobs not getting excluded from Party Finder, being able to go into different raids and everything else, it has a lot to do with the public perception of the job too, and fucking locking 2 melees in. But I don't think melee suffer that. I don't think the only way that they could really fuck that up is make them look wonky on the field, which I don't think melee does in any way.
I mean, we did go through that at one point in Stormblood. Samurai's constantly getting locked out just because of the perception of it being extremely weak and you
Samurai's
can't clear
got
with
fucking
Samurai.
locked out because they weren't Ninja Dragoon. All right.
True.
That's...
If you want a more recent example, the beginning of Eden's Gate when
Yeah.
Ninja was horrendously undertuned, I got locked out of a lot of stuff because it did like 2,000 to 3,000 less DPS
Yep.
than the next.
It
melee.
was like actually really bad though.
It was terrible.
I mean,
job
imagine
itself and the way
Monk
it
was
played was
basically a
fine.
permalock right then too, because of the insane amounts of damages just farting out.
True. I remember Eden's Gate was like primarily Dragoon Monk because both of them were pretty overtuned at the time. Monk especially.
I mean, but yeah, when they had the interactions with piercing debuffs, that fucked up a lot of stuff, right? You had to, because you had to have a physical range in there, and you needed a Dragoon to support him. Yeah,
True.
and then like
Yes.
if you didn't bring a ninja, you're griefing your party, right? And
That
that
was no trick attack. Woo!
yeah, and so that was bad in the way that they designed the interactions. Then they've kind of gone away from that, and we can definitely see the results of it now. But yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. I want them to change stuff up in some way to make jobs interesting, and I feel like the way that they go and design Monk and Black Mage stuff is something that they should try to apply to some other jobs too. Even though it's a pain in the ass. Once you play it a lot, it's fun. And if someone's only going to play one job, they're going to play it a lot, and it will be fun. Hopefully. So Johnny MSQ playing Monk instead of Dragoon will be happy with Monk and the extra work that he can put in. I don't know. Maybe he'll just do Dragon Kick the whole time. God, that kind of pisses me off now.
That you know that?
Yeah, someone told me that at some point, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny, but I didn't hear about the 99 part.
I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Mordred that did that. I can't remember.
Bring back Paradox Mage.
Jeez. Paradox.
Oh,
Oh, all right. What else what do we need to talk about on Melee, guys? We've hit all the jobs here, right? And I guess we talked about positionals, hitboxes, and these are things that are coming up within the changes going into the expansion. Melee, you know, with Dragoon and Viper, I think they're going to make a decent amount of changes to Dragoon. I could be wrong. You guys don't think it's going to be as extreme as it was with Summoner?
I'm still not completely sure on which way they're going with it.
I could see it going either way.
Okay.
I mean, we truly won't know until we see the combat action trailer here in about 5 days, and then we'll find out more with media tour info. I mean, we could speculate all we want, but we truly don't. We don't know which dev is working on it. We don't know. It could have been the guy that did Summoner. It could be the guy that did the Ninja rework. You know,
I like new Summoner.
We do not know.
Okay. But it feels like we're getting 2 new jobs to me. To be honest with Melee, at least. It's getting
in a sense, yeah.
Yeah.
No matter what, that will happen.
Yeah. And that's fairly interesting. So I feel like it's the one that's going to get the most changes in general with the expansion. Pictomancer's going to come down the line. Be a weaker black mage, I guess. I don't know. And the Astra is going to be changed, and that's going to be the one that's probably going to have the interesting changes to it. I think ours going to be really boring. Maybe AoE cards or something like that. 2-minute AoE cards, yeah, and but that's just dividation, so I don't fucking know.
I want the old system back. I don't care if it was unbalanced. I want the old card system back.
The old card system was very fun. From like an optimization standpoint, it sucked, but like from a fun aspect, it was great.
And I feel like that's the way the game should go in the fun aspect, and optimization is like on the back end, right? Not like to the point where people can't clear stuff, but like unless they have the right, you know, set of jobs or whatever. I mean, I get the RNG stuff doesn't feel great. Like when you're playing and you draw nothing but the cards of the lady the entire fight. You don't need them. That could kind of feel bad as an Astro, I guess, but
I think we're gonna see a lot of the RNG removed from that job.
But that's the job. You draw cards. I don't think they should take that aspect away, but I don't know.
They could go back to the time mage aspect, because back when it first launched, we all thought it was a mix of time mage and the star stuff.
But their weapon is literally cards.
True.
It's cards. It's all cards. Even though Astrologian, you know, it's space. It's supposed to be, you know, that kind of goofy draw of the deck stuff. But maybe they just control fate and destiny, right? And it's all a trick. But I don't know.
I mean, aren't they like essentially tarot cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my thought.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the old version too. I feel like that's super fun. It just isn't fun when you're trying to like get speed kills. It's not fun when you're trying to get high on like this leaderboard of damage and everything else, but it's fun in the sense that you press something and you got this. Now how do you handle that situation? Which is what I love about healers in general. To be honest with you, like I can give it so much shit for when you're and again, super far tangent here, but give it so much shit for when you're doing it with a group of people who know what they're doing. Healing sucks, but in Party Finder is this masochistic, just like excitement when I see someone die. I'm like, yes, fucking, this is great. I get to figure out how to repair the situation, right? And without like a high level of understanding of how to fight does body checks, how to fight does everything else, and figuring out the recovery to that. No other job gets that kind of reactionary aspect in a fight, unless we're talking about drawing cards in a sense. But I don't know. Astro also requires a lot of knowledge, fight knowledge, because you have to know when to time your heals, right?
Which is the part of the time mage aspect, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, it also
they might be star themed. Go ahead.
In its current iteration too, you actually have to have at least a little bit of knowledge of burst windows on jobs, especially in odd minutes.
Yeah, because I mean, when you give cards to somebody you're trying to hit with their 1 minute buffs too, right?
Yes.
So it's It's the more interesting healer currently. But Whoops, what do you feel about healers, man? Hey,
I love them.
you love them?
I actually like all of them. Yeah.
Okay, okay. White mage isn't too boring.
No. I think white mage should have a little bit better of recovery when they get up from dying, but that's an easy fix.
White mage
I think
feels
they
too
should
heavy,
also get
dude.
a little bit of mana back whenever they use a lily,
No.
like Estro.
Yeah.
Sage is based and Sculler's really fucking good. That's all I have to say on the matter.
That's all we gotta say. That's all we need to say. On a melee show, at least, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about with melee that you'd like to see change with the current jobs, the role sets, anything else?
I'd like to see some more design around the thoughtfulness of uptime. Adding more abilities that give you extra reach. Adding abilities that maybe even have to make you even closer.
Under the boss is like in the hitbox a certain way, like negative yawns.
I mean, yeah. I mean, make it a little more interesting rather than just having to stand at a certain point and just kind of, unloading.
I mean, that's way more interesting than any other DPS.
Yeah.
True. I mean, like the core gameplay of Melee has been the same for 10 years.
Yep.
Change it up. Like, get creative with it. Take some risks.
Add a little bit of spice, just a little bit. Try something.
All right, Wex.
Yeah, I don't got anything in specific. No.
Well, melee was the last of the jobs that I dedicated a ton of time to learn, and I have a lot more respect for melee than I used to. That's absolutely for sure. I have a lot less respect for physical range than I used to. But
you got to see how actually brain off that role is.
It is. So, by the way, just to give you guys a quick rundown of, I've been a one-trick pony for so long. Paladin, whatever. Recently, I got into healing, and I did Sage. And I was healing the last 2 Savage Tiers and everything. And I was like, you know what? Hit incentive. I was like, okay, well, I'll clear the tier on Black Mage now. That was an experience. Going from like Sage to learning Black Mage and trying to understand it, and immediately after Black Mage, Summoner Red Mage.
And how much easier it was.
Dude, I went into physical ranged, and it just went downhill again. Right? It just kept going. And then I went into the tank and the melee side, and then it went back up a little bit, right? Tanks take a not a lot, right? But they have something, okay? They have more of a rotation than healers do. The boss positioning and the extra little bits of things that you have to do mechanically exist for them. But it was strange out of all of this that, between tanks, healers, physical ranged, everything, it came down that my conclusion was that melee was the most difficult role in the game. Not in the sense of doing the stuff that would get people killed, because you don't get people killed unless you fuck up a mechanic, right? Tanks, you get people killed by aiming the boss the wrong way or not hitting a cooldown. Healers, you get people killed by not hitting the right cooldown. But DPS-wise, melee is the most difficult in optimization and prolonging, figuring out fights, I guess. Melee takes the longest.
Agree.
Yeah.
As somebody who plays everything, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really say anything against that.
Yeah. So, congratulations, Melee. I have a ton of respect for you now. So much respect that I think the only Melee I'll play is Reaper.
No problem there. Finding true peace in this game is realizing that, hey, you know what? Maybe this job that everybody shits on for being easy is actually just kind of fun and chill.
Fun.
I'm just gonna play it.
It's fun. I mean, I'm gonna try Viper out. I gotta figure out Viper, but and I'll play everything. But when it comes down to like when I get to choose what jobs I'm gonna play, I gotta play Dragoon too, because I gotta learn new Dragoon. Reaper is right now. If I had to pick a melee, I'm like, this is the one I have to play. It's gonna be Reaper because of how much fun and less stressful it is to me. Outside of, accidentally not hitting my guillotine or giblet or whatever, right? That's about it. All right. Well, with that all being said, I guess we can go to wrap up. We've been over 2 hours, dude. Go for a little bit.
Wow. Wait, really?
Time
Yeah.
flew. Yeah, time flew.
Holy.
It's like almost 2.5 hours. Wex, I know you had to eat. I hope that
Yeah,
didn't
no,
starve
I
you.
made sure to get food.
Okay, good. But yeah, guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on the show and having this conversation with me. You know, we've talked about a lot of different jobs. This is the closest to when we actually get information, so a lot of stuff that we said will be interesting in the point of retroactively looking back and seeing what we thought a week ago. But we're gonna have some news coming up with the job action trailer. And the last time they did this for Endwalker, I don't know if they're gonna do it again, but it was a 7 to 8 hour live letter of going over the jobs.
Oh boy.
God, that was.
And it starts at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if they'll do that again. Maybe it'll be not as intense for them, and they'll just kind of go through it quickly. But it was a lot of data that they threw at us, so look forward to that. Then after that, we'll get the exact information whenever the media tour embargo stuff ends. Then we'll have hopefully all that information out there to fully analyze and then go back and start figuring out what jobs are best. But even then, the potencies aren't going to be right, so you can't really tell, but you'll at least get a sense of what the jobs are like.
The best thing to look at in the media tour is like how the job plays, because the potency numbers are not going to be the same.
Make sure to complain about them. You know,
Yeah, but
Don't,
then there's going to
please.
be some.
no, complain about them, because you know it's
My
fun.
job's too underpowered. The potencies suck. Do me up. Don't do it.
If you do it, they'll change it. You just complain a lot. All right. Maybe they won't change it if you don't complain. Okay. Maybe they don't realize it. No, don't harass anybody, guys. But
Do not.
no harassment. But give your thoughts on it, of course. After you see all that stuff. God, that's so much work, dude.
I cannot wait to see how wrong or right we all were. in the
Just remember,
speculation
at the end of the
department.
day, Mr. Happy is in charge of all the changes, so go
That's
just
true.
yeah,
Yeah, give
harass
him shit.
about
He is Yoshi P's
all the
boss.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Damn, Mike, dude. All right. We can go ahead and wrap up the show, guys. This has been great having you all here. It was great to meet you, Jitter. It was great to meet you, Wesk, as well. You know, I appreciate you giving me your time
This
to
was
come on the
fun.
show.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And Whoops, of course, always being down to clown, man. I appreciate you, dude.
Yes, sir. Good
But
to be on again.
oh yeah, I'm sure I'll have you on soon. I'm sure. But that being said, let's everybody do their outro, where people can find you if you want to be found, things like that. Whoops. Tell everybody where they can find you and any of your last thoughts that you want to give or any shout-outs or anything.
Sure. Thanks everybody for listening. You can find me at twitch.tv/skullvolver. I stream lots of FPS games, art. It's a really good time.
Nice.
Come chill sometime. I'd love to see you.
Okay. All right. What was that skill revolver you said?
Skullvolver.
Skullvolver. Okay. I'll check it out, man. I put your link in the chat there for everybody too. All right, Jitter. Tell everybody.
You can find me at twitch.tv/jitter or at jitter07 on Twitter, or you know, you might often find me in Whoops' Twitch chat. I also hang out there a lot, so
Yeah,
come say
Jitter.
hi. I'm around.
I figured Jitter would be a harder name to get, but it seems like you got it pretty easily.
That's the Jitter, bro.
Jitter.
I've been on the platform for a long time.
All right. Okay. Wex.
Hello, I'm Wesk Alber on basically everything: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Blue Sky. Yeah.
Okay. I need to start using Blue Sky more, dude. But it's just
It's hard to remember
it's
sometimes.
it's hard to remember, and it's not as active. But Twitter's just full of so much crap.
It's so much nicer over there, but so much quieter.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. It's not letting me do shallows back to back because Twitch is just have their timeouts, whatever. But anyways, it's in chat for you guys. I'll put it in the video too. So please check out all their socials in the description on the YouTube video if you're watching this on YouTube. As for me, you can find me on the MogTalk Twitch channel. Of course, you're here now, YouTube, and on Twitter as well. But the interesting stuff to realize, we're going to do DSR tomorrow on this channel. We're on P6. Wex, you're on P6 too, aren't you?
I should be on P7 because I've been to P7 once. Only once.
Okay. Well, we're doing that Sunday night here.
So you're basically on enrage parties, right? Just
Yeah.
join the PF.
I've joined like 5 of them, and I've seen P6 like a total of 5 times.
That
in the
sounds
last week.
about right.
That's DSRPF.
In the entire last week, 5 times maybe.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
But yeah, you can check that out here next week. We'll be streaming Final Fantasy 14 all next week, and Ultimates at night usually, and daytime is just Savage Party Finder. Talk about all that crap coming up with the live letter soon. Thursday, Friday is going to be a busy day. It's going to be busy as crap. But I appreciate everybody coming to watch. I appreciate everybody watching on YouTube. Appreciate everybody around. Of course, my guests for being so wonderful and coming on. But with that all being said, we will see you next week when we talk about the live letter. That will be our next show. All right, guys. See you later. Everybody say bye and wave.
Bye.
Bye. I'm waving. You can't see it.
I'm waving,
but
but you can't see it.